29 to 10. Yay. Sorry guys. Kana tsuri kuguma vakafa muna Kristu. Mazuva ya kuguma yo file. Kana ozi kuguma yo file atetelaiza. Zviri kudini ndanonoka kuya zvenyika ino zvakaoma, nyika ino inorwadza. Life in the United Kingdom not very easy. People must understand that. Bless zviri sei ndakasimba tetelaisa zviri kufamba here. Life not easy in this country. I know a lot of people are clamoring to come to the United Kingdom. Chekudya hachishaiki, unoita matama. Nkoma Jimmy zviri kufamba here. Hanzi kunyange zvikarema sei patinopinda hanzi tsemura dhirora. Hanzi tengesa tatanga mukoma Nelson madzikatire zviri kufamba here. Hanzi dhirihora iro vanogara mudhiriwo, dhirihora rembanje vanogara mudhiriwo, dhirihora iro vanogara mudhiriwo, dhirihora rembanje nogara mudhiriwo, vakomana vanogara mudhiriwo, dhirihora rembanje vanogara mudhiriwo, usatambe navo vanogara mudhiriwo, dhirihora rembanje vanogara mudhiriwo, dhirihora vakomana dhirihora rembanje vanogara mudhirihora. Hanzi Whistle uri seiko brur? A long time, a really long time. Zviri kufamba here. Yes my nunu zviri kudini? Musha Dala, how are you?
I take the dongle to charge my phone. I can't find my plug. Is that okay?
You can't find what?
My plug.
Yeah, that's fine.
When I finish, I'll bring it.
Brian Gaswa zviri kufamba. Tete Evelyn Madi. Atete tapiwa gorogodo makadi angu ndakasimba. Gwala zviri sei atete lavu makadini. Pane vamwe vanhu vakarova kudhara vandiri kuona panapa. I'm so happy to see you, ladies and gentlemen. Mese hands up group renyu rakazodii riripo group. Koya ID ndakaswera yamira sei hatisati taziva kuti court kuti zvamira sei. Right to good evening. Bwanji bwero andaswa chinyeda from one soldier to another. Zvakadaro hanzi zvakadaro. Saka nhasi toda kutaura. It's sad guys, what I've received today. It's so sad. This is not good news for democracy. Police officers have started voting, but varikuita Zimbabwe Republic police officers varikuitiswa ballot voting. They are voting in front of their bosses. I'm reliably informed that they've started voting. Hanzi unenge uchitonzi isa X yako apo, isa X yako apo, isa X yako apo. This is what is happening to the police at this juncture. So Godwin Matanga, we are watching you. We know definitely this is not gonna help you. ZANU-PF is so afraid of losing elections. Why are they doing that? The police, ZRP, Godwin Matanga, the police officers are voting now. They are doing both. So they are doing what we call ballot box. Yandaka exposed as ZANU-PF in 2008. They are continuing to do that. Meboka Peter zviri sei mwana wokumusha chana cheurungu yawe wefara here vari kuitwa yamakaramba gore exactly yandakaramba yandaka expose yayo. This is what they are doing. The police force, they don't learn. ZANU-PF government don't learn. They are all doing this because they fear to lose power. They fear to lose election. They know that they are going to be defeated dismally. So I've received similar reports from prison services again. hanzi pane chitsotsi chiri kuitwa kujeri ma-prison officers vari kunzi hunzai 𝗂𝗂 wounza nekwauchanovhotera tiri kuzvinzwa ana 𝗂𝗂 zvonyadzisa. 𝗂𝗂 doesn't learn. He's one of the bosses wandaka exposer achitaura kuti tsvangira yafa akatonga nyika inoi achitaura hanzi tikaitiswa ballot voting yatakaramba ndori kuswa mapurisa, and 𝗂𝗂 is repeating that again. Sad story guys. Andikande up mwene munokanda number dzenyu kuinbox. Sad story again. 𝗂𝗂 is repeating the same error that he did in 2008. Imagine 14 years ago he did the same error, and they are repeating the same error. 14 years ago I exposed this election rigging in Zimbabwe Republic Police, and now Zimbabwe Republic Service, Zimbabwe Prison Services. Now Zimbabwe Republic Police are doing the same. Varikuita ballot voting. As I'm speaking, people are voting. Police officers are voting. Saka zvinonyadzisa. This is supposed to be an election where people are supposed kana tichiti postal ballot. Vanhu vari mu-UK, you understand this very well. You understand this very well. Your ballot paper will be posted to your house. You put an X, you seal it, and you send it, you post it back. This is what we call postal ballot paper. Kwete rokuti rinouya pa-HQ, onzwa pa-HQ ari muzibhoxi, opindwa obva wanzi orovhurwa vhura apa tione, isa X tione, anditorona. That is not a democracy. That is not an election. So already this election is a farce. It is a farce. It's not an election being run to the standard. I'm not sure why, as an opposition political party, we must not accept those ballot papers coming from the police force. We must not accept it. Because when these people are, when you say you want them to vote in front of your bosses, then you must ensure that election observers are there. You must ensure that all parties are represented there. But surprisingly, no election observers there, no parties are represented there, and no election agents there. So I don't know how we are going to accept those ballot boxes from the police force. I don't know how we are going to accept that. And that thank you so much. Saka the same thing is happening with Zimbabwe Prison Services. Magadjera ari kunzi uyai nechitupa na 𝗂𝗂. Moses 𝗂𝗂, the Commissioner General of Prison Services. Arutaura magadjera ranzi uyai nechitupa, wouya nekwa uchavhotera. Unouya nechitupa wotiudza kwa uchavhotera. What is that? What is that? Most of magadjera vachavhota pana pangula paipa. Vandoziva kuti magadjera ari kuvhota pana pangula. Savada kuona maresults ekuziva kuti pana pangula pacho pabuda maresults akaita sei pauchavhotera iwewe. What type of an election is that? And murona. So this is an election rigging. Already rigging has started. But nobody knows what ZANU-PF are win election. Guys, no garanti. This party has never won an election. Because Kanawachita, these shenanigans. That means if we have got 10,000 prison officers, if we have got 60,000 police officers, and we have got 60,000 soldiers. So ZANU-PF, before we go into an election, has got about 130,000 votes before Changirai started to have one. Or Chamisa, before Chamisa started to have one. If you subtract all those votes from the results, you see that ZANU-PF has never won an election in Zimbabwe. And before election has started, already vatotanga. My prison officers vari kunzi bring your ID, bring your uchavhotera papi. And you know kuti vekuna na Chikurubi support unit prison service ne Chikurubi maximum vanovhotera kuna pangula, and they want the results kuna pangula. And if you look at those results, all previous results, ZANU-PF hainambowina election pana pangula. ZANU-PF hainambowina election ku prison police and they've never won an election. ichiri Harare North here, I think Harare Central kunana 𝗭𝗂 ZANU-PF has never won an election. Ukaenda ku DZ ku presidential guard, ZANU-PF yaidyiwa pa DZ paya. So this is not a very good kuba kwakadai so kunonyadzisa. 𝗭𝗂, let me warn 𝗭𝗂. Let me warn Godwin Matanga that you guys, you are becoming a farce. And you are candidates for incarceration. I'm just being clear here. Such orders are illegal. They are not supposed to be issued in a democratic part. People are so tired of ZANU-PF. People are tired of your shenanigans. This is why you see every prison officer is saying this. Every police officer. Vari kutiudza vanhu. Kutoita sei vakomana. As I showed the guy today your video. Yeah, 2008. Yeah, 𝗪𝗂, he just came to the UK in SOS, and people back home, they don't even know about all these killings and abductions. Exactly. They don't know about this. So the problem, I don't know, guys. Let's help one another. Let's petition the SADC. Let's petition probably the EU and so forth. These ballot boxes must never be acceptable. They must never be acceptable. Could my ballot box and police, whilst we know that these ballot my boxes are in front of bosses. And let's inactivate my video 2008 to understand how the system is done. ZANU-PF iri kukwata election. Kana pane political party iri kukwata election is ZANU-PF. ZANU-PF iri kukwata. Apana political party inokwata election. Hanzi tose jamu. Aiwa. Tose jamu kwa Yuda. I thank you for your work and love, sacrifice. Mkoma Tembo. Thank you so much. Samaita. Thank you very much. Mkoma Den, welcome. So this is what is happening at the moment. That's the sad news that I have to the people of Zimbabwe. I'm going to briefly look at the elections, general elections history in our country. And where ZANU-PF got this idea. Elections, say, these are thieves. So my warning is to Godwin Matanga and the Mdara Moses 𝗭𝗂. Those are pensioners who are supposed to be enjoying their pension. Guys, you remember there is a video that goes around. The Magandanga Vanasheba Gawa, they are not going to salute anyone as Nama war credentials. You still remember that video? It's still circulating now. Remember, there was someone in 𝗪𝗏 Zimbabwe. Akakonana na Mugabe ninyaya yekufoma one part state. Bozva muri kuona zvikuitika mapurisa izvi. Mapurisa are helping ZANU-PF to launch a one party state mantra. That idea of a one party state yaitaurwa nechimufana chinonzi Mugwadi. Yaitaurwa na Mugabe. This is the idea that they are yavaroda kuita revamp. Because kana mafoma one party state zvakutoreva kuti voting system haina basa munyika menyu. If a policeman, a prison officer, a soldier is being forced to put X on ZANU-PF, that means it is a one-party state. It is a one-party state. It is. Matlasera, how are you, Monome? It is a one-party state. Because in a democratic society, you are supposed to go and vote. Tembo Samaita, Mazita. You are supposed to go and vote secretly. Remember, I was talking about secret voting last time. I was talking about secret voting. What is secret voting? I'm going to touch a little bit about secret voting tonight, so that people understand. I want prison officers, I want police officers, I want soldiers to understand. It's not normal in a democratic society. And murukubatsira kudyara nhamo munyika. Vanhu vazhinji, vanhu havachadi. People are so tired about ZANU-PF. Imimi now, imimi, because you are willing tools of this devil. I'm here as a former prison officer. In the history of elections in our country in Zimbabwe, I'm not going to do that. And exposed them. And I've refused to be used by ZANU-PF. And I exposed the rigging that they are doing now. So, to those police officers, to those prison officers, to those soldiers who are kuitiswa, jamukai varumemi. Because chinondirwadza when I start talking about this issue, look at your salary. A prison officer's salary is $20 a month. Convert your salary into US dollar, RTGS. It's $20 a month. Urugu supplement and $250 US dollars, which are allowances. Yeah, his salary, those allowances can be terminated anytime. Unosara uchi hora $20. Though ex yako. Yesterday I was talking about the worthiness of your ex. Kuti ex yako ya uchaisa iwewe yakafana na ex inoiswa na minister, yakafana na ex ichaiswa na president, yakafana na ex ichaiswa na billionaire, ichaiswa newewe murombo. Saka you don't need to waste your ex. Mapurisa eZimbabwe ngatisararai, ngatisapusa. Magajere eZimbabwe ngatisararai, ngatisapusa. Muri kuitiswa. But imimi ndimi vanhu vacho muri kuti dai zvinhu zvachinja munyika. Zvinochinja sei imuchiitiswa? Unonzi hanzi uya nechitupa chako, uya nepa uchavhotera. What for? Tell them I can't do that. Kana vachikudzinga basa ngaripere nhasi, mangwana unodzokera kubasa. Ndikuti mapurisa nemagajeri nemasoja vakajamuka kuti zvatizvidi izvi. Basa rako ngaripere, bvuma kudzingwa basa nhasi. Tine magajeri akadzingwa basa akawanda. Tine mapurisa akadzingwa basa akawanda. Who are waiting kuti zvinhu zvikangonaka chete they'll go back to work. Or else they will be compensated. Wobva vaenda nepension dzavo vakabata pension dzavo. Tine prison officers vakadzingwa basa. Vachinzi muri politicians. Tine vamwe vakadhizeta vakatiza for their safety. I don't see kuti chii chiri kukunakidzai kushandira $20 a month. Wapedza zvotengesa voti yako kuna Satan. Iwe ndiri kutaurira iwewe musoja nhasi. Ndiri kutaurira iwewe musiyawo nemugadhijeri. Dzingwa basa. Uri kunzwa? Isusu saka basa redu takarisiya was an instructor chinakirwa nebasa rere. Saka ndikauya pana ndikatanga kuti dhiri hora iro vanogara mudhiri dhiri hora rembanje vanogara mudhiri vakomana vanhu. Ndechizwa kunakirwa kakeke morari. Anditi ndozvandanga ndakajaira ndiri pabasa. Saka nauri musoja iwewe, if you are a prison officer, if you are a soldier, if you are a policeman, dzingwa basa. Azvinoti kana ukadzingwa basa nhasi ukatambura 2 years ZANU-PF ikadyiwa haudzoke kubasa. You are coming back to work. I'm assuring you, dzingwa basa nhasi, mangwana uri kudzoka kubasa. It can take 10 years, but still you will come back kubasa, uchapuwa pension yako. Because hauna kubuda basa. Wakadhizeta because of reasons. Murunza nyaya tiri kutaura. The government iri kuuya next, it has to compensate you. Kana wakadzingwa basa, uchinzi wewe participate in politics, you will be compensated. I'm assuring you. Kana usina kukompensetwa, uya undoone. Kuti mukoma Shepherd Yuda, musi wa 29 June 2023, makataura imi mukati, hurumende ikachinja. Munhu wese akadzingwa basa mugadhijere mupurisa musoja akadzingwa basa achinzi uriwe opposition. Kana usina kukompensetwa uya undibvunze. Because vanoda kudzokera kubasa munodzokera. Vanenge vasikada kudzokera kubasa munoya mowekerwa mapension enyu, hurumende yokubhadharai. Motakura mari dzenyu moenda kumba monovaka dzimba dzenyu mogara muchidya pension yenyu. Ini ndakakwanisa 25 years dzangu kudhara. Now I regard myself as a pensioner. And I know the pension yangu muZimbabwe government irimo. Andina kubva ndichida. Ndakabva nenyaya yepolitics. Same applies newe kana wakadzingwa basa, wakadzingirwa politics. Your money, your pension is still within the government. Ausati wadzingwa basa. Regard yourself kusemunhu yari pa kana start leave unpaid leave. Imbogara kumba, enjoy your life. Kana wakadzingwa basa uchinzi uri politics. I don't want to lie, guys. I am telling you a fact. Let the ZANU-PF government lose August 2023 election. And you come and ask me. Vanangaita number dzangu, my former police officer, former prison officer, former soldiers, keep my number. Let this government go first. Give me a call. You are going to be compensated. You will be compensated by the government. Ukada kudzokera kubasa, unodzokera kubasa. Tinongotarisa kuti rengi yawaifanirwa kuva nayo iwewe ndeipi. Tinotarisa vamwe vako ve same stream yako, ve course yako, same course yako. As mkoma yuda koma engineer shepu here munopiwa pension yenyu akomana musatya. Ini ndiri kutaura let's work. Let's remove ZANU-PF. Then muzondibvunza. Ndodati muzondibvunza kuti nyaya maitaura yaya musi wa 29 June kuti kana ZANU-PF yaenda tichadzokera kubasa towekerwa pension dzedu toenda. Iri kupi mkoma yuda? Mumwe nemumwe uchawekerwa pension yako. Kana wakapinda 1996 basa, junior wako kana kuti waifana kupinda rengi ya assistant commissioner na commissioner, unopuwa rengi yako ubuda basa. Wanda kubuda basa, ubuda moenda, wanda kushanda moshanda. It's not a period of retribution, no. It's a period of compensate. Thank you so much for the fight you put against an oppressive government. Yes, ZANU-PF. Saka iwo karamba uri pabasa izvinezvo wakasunyirira uchika kudzingwa basa. Uchinzunza namba yako chitupa woendesa. Unza pa uchavhotera woendesa. Tinokutaurira kuti uri mutengesi. Mukoma Bright Malunga, my teachers, they are victims. Ndozvandiri kutaurira kuti my teachers are victims of this government. My teacher akarohwa, vamwe vakafa. All those statistics dziripo. Hakuna teacher akatiza acharega kukombanzetu. Kana uchidzokera kuMinistry of Education oda kudzokera kubasa, enda kubasa. Because mabasa achakirietwa. Mabasa achakirietwa. The issue iripo is for you to work. Kana wakadzingwa basa uchinzi uri politician, uri MDC, uri 𝗭𝗂, wakadzingwa basa. Usachema, take it as unpaid leave. Because your time is coming. Vachada kudzokera kubasa, you go back to work. Age dzangu dzinodza ndichakwanisa kudzokera kuprison untangana nemajera zvichaiti. Plus ndadzidza zvekuti ndichakwanisa kunokweshana nemudhuri yemajere. Ini ndingoda kuti wangoweka 25 years dzangu dzandakashanda. Andina kubuda basa ini. I regard myself semunhu ari papaid leave. Kana nguva yacho yakwana, vongondiwekera mari dzangu, vondipa pension yangu ndoenda. Andimona, hakuna munhu akadzingwa basa achinzi uri mupolitician. Hakuna. VeZANU-PF ingadai vakadzingwa basa kunzi you are participating in politics. Kana pasina weZANU akadzingwa, veMDC hamfane kudzingwa, veTRIPLEC hamfane kudzingwa. Kana wakadzingwa, ngoti Mwari vakuchengete usvike papension yako. Muusvike ZANU-PF ichirova pasi, uyatore pension yako. Come and get your pension. SSB ine mari yako. Andimona. SSB ine mari yako, ine pension yako. Kunasi kune mari yako, kune pension yako. So you go and claim your pension. Then you wonogara. Kana wada tenga imba, kana wada kudzokera kubasa, wada unoshanda. Kuna wano fill out, inini ndira kushanda. You go back to work. I still remember ndichitaura na president the other day. Pandakataura na president Nelson Chamisa. Ndakati president, munyika medu mu Zimbabwe, kana tichiti youth, tinoreva kuti munhu ane kubva ngatitange kubva pa0 usati wazvarwa iri nhumbu. Tichizwa kuti makuzvarwa muyouth mudumbu, mune muyouth. Wokura uchingonzi muyouth. Youth age yedu isusu inoperera papi naye president. President Chamisa wakati youth yedu inoperera pa 35 years. ndikati sei kana muchirecruita kumagadheri mapurisa masoja sei hurumende ichitarinda munhu ane 18 years kusvika 25 years why imuchiziva kuti youth inosvika 35 years saka these are some of the changes that are coming in our government, ladies and gentlemen. Kuti munhu ukasvika 35 years ukapfuura 35 years yes akuconsider kuti hausiri muyouth, but munhu ari from 18 to 35 can join prison, can join the army. 22 years from 18 to 22 years onzi ndo vatiri kuda kuti vajoine police, prison and army. That is segregation. Kana youth yedu ichinzinosvika to 35 years, political youth, up to 35 years, you must be able to join the prison. You must be able to join the police force. You must be able to join the army. And so these are some of the changes that we are going to propose when government change. So be it in mind that I've stated today on the 29th of June 2023 that whoever was dismissed because of politics in Zimbabwe, avanhu vakakuchengetera pension yako chete, uripa unpaid leave, and you go back to work. Kana what pension kana period yako yakapera yekuziva kuti 25 years dzangu dzakapera, inini handichadi zvekushanda. They will just work for your pension up to 25 years, and the presumed rank that you should have won. Wobva wabuda basa, uenda akonogara kumusha, monthly wakora mari yako. Saka ngatisarohwe neana, ngatisatyei, because this is what is ahead of you. And I am telling those serving members in the police, prison, army, that if you are dismissed today because you are telling them that this is wrong, don't worry about that. They put the records upon, you've got a file which they dismiss you and put all the paperwork there. Your paperwork will be your witness. Ukadzingirwa basa kuti wakaenda okay ukanoba, that is a criminal offense. Yasiyana nekuti wakaonekwa kwachamboko chaadresa rally, so you have been dismissed from the force. So they put the paperwork there. Your paperwork is your witness. You will still be re-engaged if you want, and you can still get your pension and leave. It's all up to you. Saka ndiri kutaurira kuti ma-ex-members vakadismisswa nenyaya dzepolitics, musatya, let's jog. Record of service is there. Thanks, Mkomaden. Your record of service is there. Saka apana munhu anozonzi zvezvaitwa magandanga yokunzi vaibirira ndakaenda kuhondo usina kuenda kuhondo. Kana wakajoina prison zvinooneka. Kana wakajoina police, you've got a record of service zvinooneka. Saka ndiri kutaura kuti those serving members musaitiswa nevanhu ava. It's a hari dzofanzirofa. It's an outgoing government. Handizvo chamuri kutya chii. Ina anobva ndambokwata, anobva ndambotya ine. Indavataurira kuti kunyange tiri kumunda nematsotsi. Pane mumwe musungwa mumwe ndakachengeta so akazondisendera message zvikanzi chef muchiruziva nyaya yambwendeya here. Ndo vasungwa wandaenda musi wacho akatsva chakaputika. Shabiru chifu murinya avamhanya vanhu havachadi mukoma chichi. This is for all serving members. Andimana saka musakwata, musatya imi. Ndaona mambo chaiye achimhanyiswa chief murinye, vanhu vachikwazvura shamu sokunzi rovai mbiti. Vanhu vezimbabwe havachada, and zvaibva wakomana, zvaibva. Saka kana uri a serving member, ramba kuitiswa. Kana uchidzingwa basa dzingwa. That's not the end of the world. Isu sagara panapa achatombozeri green shirt kana boots inoporishwa sei. Naitoseka bhuru wangu mwanda achidrive naye motikaru. Akaitaura akati Shepherd, uyaujoine territorial, uyaujoine army, inonzi cadet, army cadet. Wanda zvese zvima-shooting cheese, zvese wanoenda ma-competition, everything. Come and join. Ndikati, I want to come to keep my skills sharp. Andiri muriona. Aiwa, chief wazhakwa. Chief murinye. Naona vachizvamburwa nemakushamu so. Vanhu vakakwazvira makushamu ngemakuru. Kwavu. naro pana chief handiri muona. Saka guys, what I'm saying, what I'm talking about tonight is the history of my elections ezanu. Ayo kama ka drink so kanenga ka isotonic hydration kama kanongo ndipo ka ginger ka drink so kamwe ngoma bless zvakaoma. Saka ndiri kutaura kuma serving members of the force kuti varume musatya, rambai kuitiswa. makore acho iwa tiri kuona Yudha ndopandaipa kuti verare changamuka ichangamuka tiri kutongwa nembavha changamuka inini Yudha ndakati kwete zvekutongwa nembavha ndakaramba inini chete ndakati kwete zvekutongwa nembavha ndakaramba varume. Ini ndakaresista vanhu vachintaura kuti uchaurawa ndikati hazvina basa, kana ndafa inini ndafira nyika. Saka ndiri kutaura ndichiti if you look all the shenanigans that ZANU-PF is engaged on, this is a fear, a total fear, a clear fear of losing election, a total fear of losing power. Mari dzinoshanda dzinenge dzati nigirini yacho bita nayo formula yacho tendai biti has got the formula. Saka if you look, let's look back why ZANU-PF has got this fear of losing election. If you look back, soon after war, ZANU-PF was the dominant political force in our country. It dominated our politics for the first decade of independence in Zimbabwe. We had elections held in 1980. We had elections held in 1985. We had the election held in 1990. These elections confirmed. They can still, if you revisit the results, if you revisit the conduct of those elections, they confirm that ZANU-PF was a dominant political party during that time. This is why you see ZANU-PF now has got an increased fear of losing election. If you go back to 1990, if you go back to 1990, let me begin by 19. I will talk about the results in 1980, or let me check the results of 1980, because 1980. If you look at ZANU-PF, we had just come from the war and we were basking on the Lancaster House Agreement that required our parliament or a House of Parliament be constituted by 100 members. Lancaster House Agreement wanted our parliament to have 100 members, or 100 members of parliament, or 100 MPs. Right? That is in 1980, my elections. In addition, we had about, 20 out of 100, 20 of those seats, they were reserved for whites. This is the Lancaster House Agreement. And ZANU-PF vachiba $, and so ipapo, according to the Lancaster House Agreement, Zimbabwe was supposed to have 100 constituencies. Out of those 100 constituencies, 20 were the seats reserved for the whites. So the first democratic elections in which the proportional representation electoral system was used, they were held in 1980, in February 1980. And these elections were supervised by the British governor. In India, I forgot my elections, I got 1979. No. Elections were held in February 1980. And they were supervised by the British governor. My-elections, ZANU-PF, iwine, they were held in February 1980 and were supervised by the British. As you that we have a seat for you in parliament, you deserve this. Thanks, bless. Thanks so much. And then move on. So, if you look at those elections, there was Bishop 𝗭𝗿 𝗪𝗂 from the United African National Council, UANC. It's called United African National Council. That is UANC. We had Robert Mugabe from Zimbabwe African National Congress, which we call today ZANU-PF. We had Joshua Mkabu from Zimbabwe African People's Union, yatinoti ZAPU nasi. These were three major combatants of the 1980 elections. These people were competing for 80 seats. Because already 20 seats were reserved for whites. But were competing for 80 seats. Out of 80 seats that competed in 1980, ZANU-PF secured 57 seats. History is very important. And I must say, very important towards the conduct of today's elections. 1980 is 43 years ago when these elections were held. My major players during that time, Kwana Joshua Nkomo, Bishop 𝗭𝗿 𝗪𝗂, and Robert Gabriel Mugabe. These were major contestants. These people were fighting for 80 seats. Today we are fighting for 210 seats. Amunonzi reserved seats for whites. Today they are not being reserved for whites, but they are now being reserved for the black, for Zirema, Machifi, ma organizations akatusiyane no ane reserved seats. Saka, you see that the system that was being used by Ian Smith is the same system that is still being used today. We have got 210 seats that we are fighting for. In 1980, people were fighting for 80 seats. And 20 out of, there were supposed to be 100 seats. 20 were reserved for the whites. So if you go today, we are fighting for 210 seats. And there are other seats reserved for certain people like chiefs. And then move on. So, if you look at that election, February 1980, ZANU-PF secured 57 seats out of 80. Which that was 63% of the vote. Then it was followed by ZAPU. ZAPU secured 20 seats. Yeah, ZAPU it gathered 20 seats and just over 24% of the vote. UANC you got 3 seats. And UANC you got 3 seats. No party ya Douglas Monzora. Mukadzati chitaura kuti Monzora muzero ndiwe mazero azvina kutangira nhasi. Zvakatanga 1980. In 1980 elections, party ya Douglas Monzora got 3 seats. Ndiye munhu wamava kutora kuti hanzi mupei atungamirire MDC. Ima munyarero neMDC. Musaka mandazobvunza ndikati ko uyu Musarurwa haripi. Ko anditi pamaza ndabvunza kuti ko haripi ko chisisi changu Yvonne Musarurwa. Chati mwero chisikana kunzwika. Chakasapota tipe part. I was so hurt by Yvonne Musarurwa. She went on a destruction drive to destroy the MDC. She went on to support the presidents of Douglas Monzora. Ndakataura pandikati Monzora, where Monzora lays his hand, that thing is destroyed. Monzora was part and parcel of the UANC that contested in February 1980 elections, and that party led by Bishop 𝗭𝗿 got 3 seats in parliament. Just 3 seats out of 80. ZANU-PF got 57, which makes them 60. and then the other 20 were taken by ZAP, Joshua Mkabu Konkomo. So the remaining 20 parliamentary seats, which were reserved for whites, were all won by Ian Smith's Rhodesian National Front. That is the Rhodesian Front. RF. No party ya Ian Smith. That is the Rhodesian Front. RF. No yakatora 20 seats dzasara in 1980. These were just reserved. Nofunga vaingo voterana vari varungu pachavo. Hanzi Vincent Tsvangirai mwana wa Mudhara here. Yeah. Umbares yakupfuya ndikuziva nyaya yacho. Mwana wa Mudhara Tsvangirai. But hana feature ya Mudhara, no problem. If you look at Richard Tsvangirai, you don't have doubts. You can see Morgan Tsvangirai walking in Vincent. This is why I am saying, ladies and gentlemen, those who want to adopt my constituencies, please, let's adopt constituencies inonzi Norton. Inasave. Ukamutarisa Richi even nekutaura kwake, unobva wanzwa Tsvangirai achitaura. Unobva waona Save vachifamba. Saka we have got Save kuNorton. Let's adopt that seat. Let's assist him at all costs. Vanokwanisa, vanoda nhamba dza Richard Tsvangirai ndokupai, then tombata, tobatsirana nemudiki, kuti mudiki akure. Those are future leaders of our politics. Vana vekuti kana mangwana president wenyika hakukanganwe kuti agorerere zvinhu zvakaoma ndakabatsirwa nanhingi andini maona avazvikanganwa. Saka ndachitaura inini kuti as far as Zimbabweans understand history, our history is very important. Yeah, anotoni yakatotorwa Save vatopinda, but we need to support him. As far as history is concerned, Zimbabweans must know this. This is very important. Especially the conduct of 1980 elections that ushered ZANU-PF and Mugabe as leader. Because for the first decade, ZANU yaitora masisi ichita ekukohwa. So I've spoken about 1980 elections. In 1985 elections, let me check the results of 1985 elections. Ndamawana. Nakachi research ama results acho ndikamawana. 1985 elections, ZANU-PF, it increased its majority holding to 67 seats out of 100 seats. That means in 1980, ZANU-PF got 57. In 1985, those seats increased to 67. That means they increased by 10 seats. This gave the Prime Minister or Robert Mugabe an opportunity to make changes, including those related to land restoration. Issue land ayinotanga nhasi yakatanga kudhara. Saka there were changes which Mugabe made to the 1979 Lancaster House Constitution. Ndosaka muchona ndichikutaurirai kuti 2000 election before election ya 2000 or referendum ya 2000, Tsvangirai is the first leader. Ameno mwakazo yakandaura kuti hanzi aniko ameno waitaura akatanga kudistributa land muZimbabwe aiziva zvatakaendera kuhondo. Ndindhabaningi stole ndobva zvambonyararwa. ZANU-PF ikatora mapurisa nemasoja wakaenda kuchurufamu vachirova vanhu, kudzinga vanhu, bvai pano vanodzingwa paminda. But vandhabaningi vakaramba vari steadfast vachitaura kuti ndoda kuti vanhu vaite resettled up. Ndolendi yatakanorwira. Hanzi information yawatipa nhasi pakaipa bless. Ndoda kuti mubate. I want you guys mubate, muve knowledge. Vamwe vazhinji havana chavanoziva kuti 1980 muna February ndo pakaitwa ma-elections, ZANU-PF ikawina 57 seats. 1985 pakaitwa ma-elections, ZANU-PF ikawina 67 seats out of 100. And majority yoyo, it was 2/3 majority. Ndo yakapa kuti vaMugabe vave nemasimba ekukoma Lancaster House Constitution, vakutaura nezve land restoration. And Saka kubva 1985 takapinda 1990 election. But if you look at ZANU-PF's campaigns in the first decade, ZANU-PF was campaigning for one-party system. Their aim was to establish what we call a one-party state. This is why you see there was a lot of violence to suppress other opposition. Especially Mdara Joshua Nkomo. Nasekuru wangu wandabaningistole. Awanhu vakachiona. Muzorewa, he quickly quits. Because I told out pane rufu. Because if you look from 1980 zvichienda, pane machanges akaitika in Africa as a war. Kubva kumana 1985-90 zvichikwidza kunoku, pane zvakawanda zvakaitika. Andara mauya watching you. Zviri kufamba here mungoma richi. So throughout the African continent, if you look at those less parties which were there, very corrupt one-party regimes which were there, that Mugabe was fighting to introduce in Zimbabwe, most of them, they crumbled around that period. One-party state regime. Malawi was talking about one-party state. Zambia was talking about one Zambia, one nation, one-party state. Under Chimdara Chedu Chainzi, Kenneth Kaunda. A lot of African countries, Zayimba one-party state. One-party state is a political system which is still being practiced in Russia. When the Russia kuya opposition aurarame in Russia. Our opposition, ma ceremonial opposition political parties, ana impact in an electoral system. Those are going to put in out 25 years China. Ukaenda ku China, vane same system, one party system yoyo. Ma opposition our ma ceremonial, they are not democratic. This is what Mugabe copied. This is what Mnangagwa is copying. This is what they want to establish in our country. So if you look at other African states, those regimes that come for one-party state, they all crumbled. And even after they crumbled in the face of invigorated internal oppositions, looking at Malawi, the first president to defeat Kamuzu Banda was Bakili Muluzi. If you go to Zambia, there was Chiluba. And during that time, quite a Cold War, if you still remember that there was Cold War during that time, when Kaunda was defeated, when Kamuzu Banda was defeated. These were regimes which were like campaigning for one-party state. But that one-party state crumbled during that time. Because mama political parties manyoan in there were new political players in those countries. So what now ZANU-PF used in a decade to try and establish one-party state, and in Nyerere as well. So what they were using these parties, especially if you go to Malawi, it's a sad chapter. I don't know when a homeboy wangu anachimwene ku Malawi what got into their mind to bring back MCP. UNIP Muzambia aichafika kadzoka zotonga Zambia futi. But surprisingly in Malawi, party yakamuzu Banda is the same party that is running the country now. If you read the history of Malawi, it's a sad chapter in the history of mankind. Vanhu vaibatwa mura zvikuitwa kuZimbabwe zvonzi vanoita izamaro vaitorwa the name of Fida Shumba kuManapuzi. Ndo zvaiitwa kuMalawi. Kumalawi vanhu vaikandwa muLake Malombe. Lake Malombe is not far from my rural home in Malawi. People vaibatwa voswa muhelicopter. Vari vapenyu helicopter inohuvha pamusoro peLake Malombe. Munhu okandwa so yepanze. Saka makarwa anga kutoziva kuti kanzwa kuti kuhelicopter pari kuya nyama yemunhu. Makarwe ekulek Malombe akadya muzukuru wangu ini naenda unoraura. Anga ajaira kudya vanhu. Saka you see that period ye Cold War here, most of these one-party state regimes, they crumbled. Malawi, people were defeated. In Zambia, they were defeated. And more. Problem yavaita, they were using violence to harm other political parties. They used threats, real and imagined threats, to destroy those political parties which emerged. This is exactly what you are seeing now in Zimbabwe. And Namkoma Deni Temba, and yes, human nest is sold, animals love it. Yes. So, ndosaka muri kuona that same system yashandiswa kuMalawi yekufeeda makarwe nenyama yevanhu. Kwaikandwa vanhu vapenyu, uri mupenyu waikandwa from the helicopter. Zvinodyiwa mulake Malombe nemakarwe. Mune makarwe akareba 3 meters, 4 meters garwe kulake Malombe, 5 meters riri garwe. Andi muri kuona anga ajaira kudya nyama yevanhu. That is the same system under ZANU-PF, where vanaita idzamara vaurawa vakunze ndai munovapa kushumba kumanapuzi shumba dzidye. Ngoma blessing. And you that do these sessions daily, I do them daily when I've got a chance, my brother. But zvinhu zvinorwadza. So you see that all these regimes were players of violence who aimed to harm opposition political parties. And their harm was real. What they wanted to avoid is for other parties to participate in an election. And what they wanted is their philosophy of what? Of one party, one state. So the core ZANU-PF political philosophy informed the voters that the sword is mightier than the pen. ZANU-PF propaganda started a long time ago when they were educating voters that independence was only won through the bullet, not the ballot. ZANU-PF is a political party that went to fight alongside ZAPU to fight the Rhodesians. And how much is 𝗭𝗂 t-shirt Mkoma? I want to turn the war village yellow. You come to my inbox, then to Batsirana, how best can you get those t-shirts? To Batsirana, come to my inbox. Atete Delina, ziri same one my long time. Ndikuta njimwira nasi. Nandri so dehydrated. And imona. So what I'm saying is, ZANU-PF, it used the harm, it used the threats and the violence, real, threatened, and imagined. They started campaigning for their one-party state soon after the war. And we went into the election. They were campaigning about one-party state. And they were using violence to make sure that they implement one-party state in our country. They informed their voters, educated their supporters to say, look, Zimbabwe, haina kuya ne ballpoint pen, haina kuya ne ballot. They were lying. Because now Zimbabwe yakauya ne barrel of a gun. What were they doing per election ya February 1980? ZANU-PF participated in that election. So they lie to the electorate that this country was brought by the barrel of a gun, not by the ballot. But where did they get the 57 seats? Did they just choose that they want these seats, they want those seats? No. They had to go through an election in 1980. And if they had lost that election, they would have lost. But luckily, they won with the 57 seats. And they come to lie to people that this country was brought by the barrel of a gun. The barrel failed to bring independence. I don't want to lie to people. If the barrel had succeeded, what were we doing in February 1980? What were we doing? If the barrel brought Zimbabwe. So they lie to the people. Achifi Murinye, azanga kuudza vanhu kuti vhoti zanu ndobva aiwa hanzi adzakuramba kuti munhu avigwe mumusha zikanzi ndiwaniwe wozati munhu avigirwe pano pamusha pedu potseka hanzi mboma dzakwazvirwa vari kuitwa vane mavhivhi kutaura kuti regai ntaure pachikorekero mondiregererawo vana vezimbabwe ndati chifi Murinye manya sorry chachikorekore chandaa kutaura ana yawo hondo yakarwiwa nevana veZimbabwe ndapedza hangu nemi thanks Tanakadini. It was a negotiated settlement through the Longest House Agreement. Then they stopped the war. They went to a ballot. ZANU-PF won and established a government. But they, up to today, since 1980, for the past 43 years, ZANU-PF is educating voters. ZANU-PF is telling its supporters that this country was not brought by a ballot paper and a pen, which is a daylight lie. Because you wonder what they were doing in February 1980 when they went into an election. Saka ZANU-PF inonyanya onyepa. Vanhu veZimbabwe manyeperwa for too long. This is not the time yokuramba muchinyeperwa. We are an educated generation now. There is social media now. No time to listen to ZBC. Because those people, they lie. And it more. They lie, those people, that this country was brought by a barrel. A barrel failed. This is why they had to negotiate for a ballpoint pen and a ballot. They went there because a bullet failed. So when they come to you and say they won't salute anyone without war credentials, the people who went to vote in 1980, they were not all participants of the struggle. They were general Zimbabweans. People without war credentials. Those are the people who went to cast their vote, ballot paper, ballot vote, who went to cast their ballots. So if they want someone with war credentials, let those with war credentials vote ZANU. The rest of you don't have war credentials. You need to vote someone without war credentials. Because you cannot live under this shadow of war. You cannot always be intimidated. So let me make it clear to the people of Zimbabwe that Zimbabwe came through a ballpoint pen and a ballot. It failed. The bullet failed. The barrel failed. This is why they had to go on the negotiating table to come up with an idea that let's go for an election. So they have been lying to the people of Zimbabwe all along that this country came with a bullet, not a ballot, which is a lie. The 57 seats which were got in 1980 came as a result of a ballot, not as a result of a bullet. The formation of government in 1980 without resistance from Smith, without resistance from any other person, came from a ballot, not a bullet. And anymore. So an electoral system, we all understand that an electoral system in a country is designed for three main purposes. War credential. Abude. Saka tikutaura ngoma bless. Kuti kana muchivotera muchida vanhu vane war credentials. Let those with war credentials vote those with war credentials. Imimi mbombera the mass musina war credentials. Go to your own candidate without war credentials. Simple matopedza. Because you must understand that an electoral system, it is designed with only three major elements, or three main jobs, or three main points. You must understand that the first point is to translate the votes cast in an election into seats. Ndosaka tiri kutaura taitaura all along that you guys please go register to vote. Go register to vote. Because for a seat to be called a seat, it must be substantiated by votes. And if those votes, they translate to that seat, in the member of parliament for Harare East is through my votes. And the votes will win you a representative into the August House. If you don't vote, you won't get a member of parliament of your choice. And your representative is very important. So you guys now need to go and vote. We have done the donkey work already. You have registered to vote. You have inspected your name from the voters' roll. Now you need to go and vote. As Natete Florence, very true. I was voting since 1980. Exactly. So I'm encouraging those youth in Zimbabwe, those youngsters, understand this, that an election system, electoral system is designed for three things. The first thing is to translate your voting into a seat. You need a member of parliament. You need to vote. So under what circumstances? You guys must go and vote. Because this system, your political party, you win. If you don't vote, hakuna political party yako win. Ungamanya muroad uchiti triple C wakapfeka yellow nyika isekata yellow, but ukarega kunovota. Zviri nani kurega kunomhanya muroad uchiti triple C, but uchienda kunovota. Because if you don't vote, then we become a fragmented party. A party with a strong base of supporters, but without a strong base of people who vote in an election. So what we want is a strong base of people who vote, not a strong base of people who take a regalia chete vachinakizwa nekuteera President Chamisa. So if you follow President Nelson Chamisa, make sure you are a registered voter. Abel, mwana wamai, Abi, zviri sei, andirakwasa kuzokubata nasi, chakubata. Andimona. So, let's mobilize these people to go and vote. Because if we just wear regalia and go in the streets chimanya, Chamisa, nembwa dziri kuteera nemakonzo nemapete. Douglas Monzora hateerwe kana nenhunzi. Ukaona uchichika nhunzi ichika kumhara uri poison. Munanga kwa hateerwe kana nenhunzi. Ukaona nhunzi green bomba rinomhara paduzvi. Asi ukaona risinga kumhare iwewe zvibvunze kuti sichi. Andiriona. Nhunzi dzototya kumhara pana Monzora. Shiri dzocha kuteera Monzora. Imbwa hadziteere Monzora dzikatoda dzotiza. But Chamisa akafamba apa anoteerwa kunyangwe nemhepo, chamupupuri chinoteera. Saka zvibvunze. Ini ndakambogara kuChipinge. KuChipinge kwamandikiswa ndaishanda kuChipinge prison. Do you know what? Ndaiudzwa zvikanzi chamupupuri chamunoona unana Chipinge is not ordinary chamupupuri. Inenge iri njuzu, inenge chipfuura. Imwe inosiya bvarura kuita rwizi, so bvarura kutara kuita rwizi. Ndakazviona zvichiitika unana Chipinge. So kana uchiteerwa nechinhu chakadaro chiri myserious, ziva kuti unorema. Une zviri pauri unorema. Ndakazwa munangagwa achitaura nezvemunhu Mutapa. Ndikadai ziva kuti munhu wautaura anonzi munhu Mutapa ndiye Chamisa uyu. Mutara aifana kuhwarara. Andini muri kunzwa. Saka what we are saying here is we don't want a fragmented party with a strong base of people who wear regalia, who follow President Chamisa. No. We want a strong party, a strong base of people who go and cast their vote for Chamisa. Because what we want is 2/3 majority into parliament. Our party must have a large representative in parliament. So that is the first idea that Zimbabweans must know. The second idea of an electoral system, it seeks to conduit through which the people hold their elected representatives accountable. Our electoral system must hold our representatives accountable. MP ngave muranda wevanhu, president iva muranda wevanhu, kwete kuita chef wevanhu. Wokuti kana wahwina iwewe wakutakura masiti nehelicopter kuenda unogara pamusoro pezvitunha zvatakurwa nemvura kuchimani-mani, then vanhu voti president vauya. What are you trying to portray? What are you showing the world? What are you showing the world? So what we are saying here is, we want a servant of the people. President Nelson Chamisa has proved to be a servant of the people. So he deserves to be cast in the center. Ngatimuisei murume uyu. Murunzotara kwandruida. Because he has shown that he is willing to be accountable to the people. If we don't vote President Nelson Chamisa, tauraya ma generations and the generations to come. Ngoma tafazi zvirufamba ere chiremba zviri kudini mwana wamai. So the last point yandiri kutaura ndeyekuti the electoral system, it has got a more normative end in that it will structure the boundaries of acceptable political discourse. It gives incentives to those political parties competing for power to coach their appeals to the electorate in a distinct manner. Look at 𝗭𝗂, the way it goes to its people. It encourages party supporters to follow Chamisa. It encourages party supporters to know why you should vote 𝗭𝗂. 𝗭𝗂 is not just a group of people gathered to be employed. No. This is a purposeful machine which is appearing in front of you and appealing to you. No matter we are in a hostile environment, but we can make it. We are an accountable Lord. We tirivana venyu vanotumika. Sangativatumei kuparliament vanotishandira basa. Very simple. Very, very simple. If you look at these three points or main jobs of this electoral system, then you know why you need to go register. You need to go and vote. We have registered already. You know why you need to vote President Nelson Chamisa. Because if I look back, as I've mentioned on the 1985 elections, the way those elections were held, 1985, 1980, there was no delimitation done. But in 1985 elections, this was the first election where the first delimitation commission was appointed. This commission was appointed in 1981, in June 1981, to carry out a delimitation. And the second delimitation was done in November 1984, when we were towards the election in 1985. And in Mona. No pakaiswa yainzi Electoral Supervisory Commission yainzi ESC. Yakaiswa muna June 1984 to oversee that it had a mandate to prepare for 1985 general election or parliamentary elections. Problem yaivepo yakada kufanana ESC yakada kufanana nezeki yamunayo nasi. Vanhu vaivepo ipapo after vakaita delimitation, vanhu vaivepo vai-constituted this commission. Vanhu havakanga vasina experience. Most of these people vanga vabva kuhondo. Some of them vanga vasina kudzidza, vanga vasina kuenda kuchikoro. So there was the work that they did during that time, it was short. due to inexperience. There was serious understaffing in ESC during that time, and that organization was underfunded. And it is different now from ZEC. If you are looking at ZEC today, it has got sufficient staff. It is being led by a judge, and it is receiving all the finances that it wants. Why are they doing a short job, a short delimitation job? And there is no excuse. There is no excuse at all, because the ZEC has got an advantage as compared to the ESC in 1984, which was tasked to run our second general election in 1985. This is why you see, with that short work done during that time, it was due to inexperiences. But inexperiences yacho were coupled with the ZANU-PF's monopolization of our state institutions. This is where the people of Zimbabwe lost control of their country. They allowed ZANU-PF to take advantage of monopolizing state institutions. Starting from that election board, it was ZANU-nized. The security services, they were ZANU-nized. The media was ZANU-nized. That including daily newspapers, radio and television. They were all ZANU-nized. This is when we lost the plot in 1985. Because during that time, ZANU-PF's mantra was to establish a one-party state. As upenyu, brother. Upenyu wacho atete constance. No, watakutaura nhasi. Ndati ndiite review of this situation. General Kaimba will say that indeed a review of this situation so that people can compare it with today's situation. And why are we allowing a similar situation that occurred in 1985 to continue in this era, 21st century? From 19th century to 21st century, the system never changed. And we allowed it. We are allowing it. We are allowing it, guys. Why are we allowing it? And you know, because if you look at everything, the state even went to this to finance a political party. ZANU-PF was financed by state. A very good example is ZANU-PF Jongwe House. Do you know that every Zimbabwean in Zimbabwe contributed to this to the construction of Jongwe House? When massive sevens right about proper pay slip. That Jongwe House here is not a ZANU-PF head office. No. That was built by taxpayers' money. And that building belongs to the state. And ZANU-PF head office, no. I'm sorry, Mashika by head office. ZANU-PF haina head office. Now you know what you say, Nelson Chamisa hana head office. ZANU-PF haina head office. Jongwe House, it was the Shek building there, was built by taxpayers' money. Massive sevens, what as a pay slip a gorero, one way batirwa mari. Yekuvaka Jongwe House here. So that buildings belongs to the state. It doesn't belong to ZANU-PF. Let ZANU-PF be defeated today. That building must be reimbursed back to the state. It must be taken back to the state. It's state funds. Aisimari ngrini ZANU yakavaka building Jongwe. ZANU-PF kana ichida ngavavake head office yavo now. That head office yavo and head office yavo, it's a state building which was built by taxpayers' money. It's also I can prove it. Aisimari ZANU, imari state. Ma civil servants vaibatirwa mari. Ma security services vaibatirwa mari. Vanhu vaibatirwa, ma companies vaibatirwa mari. yakavaka building yaya. There were not donations because you were enforced to my deductions they were done without your knowledge. And more. So that Jongwe was financed by public purse, and that building still belongs to the state. And Saka, if you look at ZANU-PF political power now, if you look at its political power, it's derived from use of state resources. Today, Barukutora state resources zagara se gold, smuggling them. Vachidzoka vachitengerwa, vachitenga ma campaign vehicles and so forth. Nema resources estate. Those states are supposed to benefit the people of Zimbabwe, not to benefit a political party and a clique of looters. I didn't know. So ZANU-PF perceived political power and the resource benefits that flowed from it as war booty or spoils or rewards that were meant for the party. That is the problem. Because when they use state resources, they think zvakabva muhondo nekuti vakarwira nyika. Saka to them it's a reward to the party. And they think that it's a reward from their loyal followers. No. Even vanamzorewa vaitenga vachitobatirwa mari dzekuvaka Jongwe house. It was not from their loyal followers. The security services were not loyal followers. A good example in my security forces at that now, Tangatine Integrated National Army. That Integrated National Army consisted of Rhodesian Front soldiers who were also made to contribute for the construction of Jongwe. Andimon. Sakanyaya apa ndiye kuti pavene inonzi elite cohesion which was used by ZANU-PF to coerce people to pay for the construction of Jongwe building. Arume. Pane Zimbabwe, pane zvinhu zvakawanda zvakabhenda zvinoda kugadziswa munyika muya. Zvakabhenda zvinoda kugadziswa munyika muya. If you look at my elections, especially kuma 1985, munoziva chimudhara chamori general tobaiwa mudede chache. Regai baba vachipeneti vatuke chidhara chache. The appointment of that partisan general, registrar general, was a boon to ZANU-PF. Mudede was an ardent ZANU-PF supporter who became a permanent, cunning and incompetent registrar general. Ukatasa his staff yaive nayo kuma birth, death and voter registration. Those people were overwhelmed, were untrained, most of them, and they were inexperienced. They caused chaos. They created chaos. They created even critical financial shortages. Vanga vasina equipment vanhu vaya, and kwaine manpower shortage. Those were people tasked for the registration of voters. If we compare those people during that time, vaine critical financial shortage, compare them with the ZEC today, with the registrar's office today. Why are we still seeing short duty being done as compared? Izvana mudede zvendezvokuma 1985, 2000 ikoko. And more. Saka problem iri apa, creation of this chaos, use of violence by ZANU-PF. This is a political logic of the hallmark of ZANU-PF. Because ZANU-PF now is scared, very scared of losing power. Because they know now we've got a vibrant opposition political party. Because imagine kuti tsoro yanga yakarongwa na Douglas Monzora, tsoro yanga yakarongwa na Komichi, na Thokozani Kupe vari 3 vanhu. tsoro yavanga vakaronga yekumeka sure kuti opposition is dead in Zimbabwe. Mnangagwa had managed to create a one-party state. From 2017 to 2023 to 2022, dai President Chamisa vasina kulauncha 𝗭𝗂, today Zimbabwe ingadai one-party state. Because pa ballot paper pipe, mamusingamboone any other opposition. Maingona pakanzi zanu, MDC pasina. As it stand, MDC is not there. Saka ndichitaura kuti tikatarisa Chamisa uyo ngatimbomutendai kuti vachamisa. Ndopataimba kudhara ndopataimba tsvangirai toita wekudiniko, toita wekubereka kana zvaipa, toita wekudiniko, toita wekubereka. Bhodhagezi waitishungurudza, Mwari ndokudzura anoshungurudza. Iwe chihuri saite teki nesu, toita teki, kaita teki, toita teki newe, toita teki. Ikakaka ndikakaimba kanonifungisa tonde, tadzoka kumashure 2000. And then trust Madam Kupe my food at the page. Project yanga iri project andiri murikuona. Saka ndiri kutaura ndichiti tikatarisa ma-elections ese iwayo kubva 1980, 85, 90, 95, 2000 it's exceptional. Ona tendai Chamisa watakapiwa nashe, baba tendai Chamisa watakapiwa nashe. Komana kuti ndirambe ndichimba sonobva ndanzoti as we want to change isikatele ngamakhehla ngoma yuda. Ndaverenga ndebele apa ndomberere mumaoko malove nemalikes ndagona kuverenga ndebele wakomana. Saka, if you look at all these elections which were held, ZANU-PF yangoshandisa noise, yangoshandisa violence. Andiri mona. Anzi msoja uyarise andisanda anzwa ndichatomboita find out anonzi skosana. Msoja uyaka komana thanks ngoma togara mbizi 50 stars takandirwa pano. Nichatobvunza anonzi skosana msoja uya wekuburitsa audio iya. I don't think kuti vakasunga the right person. Akachinzi deserter. Aishanda ku-engineers. Saka aishanda ku-engineers ndobva recruitwa kuenda kusazi. Ndobva anoona training yekusazi vari kupuwa ma-street kids unzi pfurai urayai. Mfese akatiza akati akana. He became a deserter. Saka hanzi pakabuda audio vakateerera voice. Vakati voice ndiskosana chete vachibva vanomusunga. Saka vari kumuti ndideserter. Saka I think ndofunga ari kupondwa, ari kurohwa. Revolutionary greetings mkoma Edmo Gengeza. Ngengeza zviri kufamba here mundaraunda. Saka ngatinamatire gunners wedu anoziskosana. Vari kubaya, vari kurova kutaura kwatiri kuita. Havana tsitsi vana vafarwa. Vari kuuraya. Saka tikatarisa now kuti in 1995 elections, ma-elections anga ma-seats anga atiwedzerwe mbichana. ZANU-PF yakawina an overwhelming majority in 1995 seats. Yakawina 118 seats out of 120 seats in 1995. Mamwe ma-seats akasara ari 2 akaenda kuchipinge kundongayo. Saka if you look at that trend yekuti ZANU-PF has dominated elections kubva 1980 kusvika 1995. 1995 was crucial. I'm going to say why 1995 elections were crucial. Because if you go back to 1990, in 1990, kwakune 2 only candidates which stood for elections. There was only Robert Gabriel Mugabe and 𝗭𝗭 𝗂 𝗍𝗙. Mugabe won by 2 million votes, 2.026976 million votes, which was 83% of the vote. This is 1990. Then 𝗭𝗭 𝗂 akawana 413,000 votes as a president. And let's pray for more soldiers to change and bring out the information. Skhosana is a true soldier, very true soldier. But hey, ambata kumana anzvo akanoona kusazuka akatakana akaramba kushandiswa ndobva adz aive kuengineers ndobva adz. Saka 1996 no 1990 yanga ine 2 ma-presidential candidates. 1995 or 96 yakapinda 3 ma-presidential candidates. Panga pana Ndabaningi Stole akawana 36,960 votes, which was 2.4% of the vote. Pakapinda Bishop Abe Utendeka Mzoreo. Tekera hana kuzopinda apa, bo Zoom yakabva yaparara. Yakasplita Zoom into 2 political parties, but Zoom yakabva yaparara. Saka Mugabe akawina ne 1 point something million votes. Saka 1.4. Saka muri kuona kuti pa 1990 Mugabe akawina zvakanyanya. But pa 1996, 95, 96 Mugabe ma-results akanga akadzika. Pa 2002 Mugabe akanga asina relevance in politics. Vatsvangirai vakapinda 2002. ZANU-PF ikatipa 1.2 million votes. Iyo ikatora 1.4 million votes. Ndoda kuti mutarise margin ZANU-PF yainoti inowina nayo. Apa vakawina ne 200,000. Pa 2018 vakawina ne 300,000. That margin yoyo, it's not a real margin. It's a rigging margin. Because 2002 Mugabe was defeated na Tsvangirai. Tikaenda kuno challenge election until now ma results acho high court ngrini court haisati burisa judgment until now ya 2002 elections. That judgment unfortunately yati yabuda. Tikapinda 2008 Mugabe got 1.1 votes, 1.1 million votes. Morgan Tsvangirai got 1.195 million votes. Mugabe got 1.07. Mugabe was defeated. We won this election. But mama results edu akazotorwa akapuwa Simba Makoni. Vakati Tsvangirai haana majority. Remember 2008 ndopa itorwa ma ballot papers esachispoiliwa ku KG6 vachiita hasa Tsvangirai. Aya ma results ari pana ma doctored results. The actual results Mugabe Morgan Tsvangirai got 73%. Mugabe even stated that. So 2008 we won. And on 2013 Mugabe ari kuti akaita 2 million votes. Tsvangirai akaita 1.1 million votes. That means Morgan Arunzi akawana 33.9. This is an inexplicable vote. Welshman Ncube participated as MDC president in this election. 2018 election, if you look, ZANU-PF has lost relevance. Mdarangwena kuti akawana 2.4, students akawana 2.1. Similar election result to the one got in 2002. Saka naitara danzi Thokozani akawana 0.9% here. Saka nachitaura kuti hanzi ndikaona achitongwa neopposition mukaubike doro. They know where they are getting these 300,000 votes. Where are they getting them? Nosaka tiri kutaura every time and then we need to defend our vote. This time ZANU yaenda. Believe me, guys, this time, ZANU-PF akusisina. So if you look at their popularity, ZANU-PF was popular for much of 1980s, and it remained the part of choice for many black Zimbabweans. It is skillfully articulated populist policies, especially on land, indigenization of the economy, employment and workers' rights, and initially delivered some of those social and economic promises. They did deliver. So what happened then after that? They started losing popularity, especially pakazopinda chidhara ichi chainzi tekere. They started using violence and coercion, which elements remained integral to Zimbabwe's electoral politics until today. And throughout all these 4 decades, Zimbabwe's politics is based on violence and is based on coercion. And ZANU-PF knows zvayakagona kuita. But now they've lost popularity. If you look at the results of 1980 ndakuudzai 85, 90, 96, 2000, you can see that ZANU-PF payakagena chete, I think they are 1990 avakawana 118 votes, 118 seats vakarusidzwa 2. Since then it has been down spiraling. Apana ZANU-PF payakazomboita zvinhu zvine musoro zvekuti vanhu vanotaura this is a ruling party. Ukatarisa decade, the first decade, ZANU-PF ndo payakaita hondo dzana Matabeleland ikapedza mandevele nekuuraya. There was Ndebele Shona conflict, which was not a Ndebele Shona conflict, but it was a ZAPU and the ZANU conflict. And if you look at all the elections that I've stated, compare them to 2023 elections, you can see that ZANU-PF is even today significantly better or using resources, state resources, and to access much of or the large part of our country. They've mounted large rallies in Zimbabwe. They have managed to bus people from Plumtree, Wange, Masvingo, Lupane, Gwanda, Gweru, Gokwe, Kariba, Chiredzi. All those people were bussed to a massive rally in Chipinge. You saw it last time. That they are trying to show you that they are better resourced by using state resources to access all these major rallies, or to mount large rallies and pretend to the people that they are popular. And ZANU-PF is no longer a popular party, as people might want to see. President Chamisa vakataura vakati, because of this violence and coercion, vanhu vana ve-CCC mukapuwa matishets ezanu pfekai, mukanzitai maslogan itai, mukanzendai kumarally avari kuda kuti aite large rallies, atendai. Mukakandirwa chingwa nhongai, but musi wekuvhota. Musi wekuvhota. Hanzi paunenge uri kurari rezanu uchinzi pamberi wedipfe uchizoti haudipfe mwoyo uchirwadza. Musi wekuvhota hanzi zvitaure kuti zviri kupera musi wa23 pandichaisa X wangu. Hanzi paufanira kuzvitaura ipapo kuti now we have been busy to ZANU-PF election rallies without our consent. Hatichada party inotiunganidza pazuva tichinaiwa nemvura chiiswa maslogan. No. That must be thing of the past. By 23rd of August, that must end. That must end. Because ZANU-PF is using advantage of state resources or using government vehicles. Ndezvindege zvakatenga zvichinzi maambulance takazva zvakatakura vana opa muchingura vachagona kufamba. Vane zvibvi zvinenge machongwe. zvakafuta kudai so nana BP kuti achikwanisa kufamba achakwanisa kufamba dzahari dzofanzirofa kuti achidrive chaiko kana mabreak akwanisa kumatsika akaona mumba. Saka ndo vaakutakurwa nezvikopokopo vachiendeswa kumarari. Mahelicopters ainzi aya nde maambulance ekuti kaitika maaccidents. Kukaitika accident auona ambulance auione, helicopter auione ikoko. Kukaita rally ndipo unoona helicopter yakatakura opa muchinguri, yakatakura obet mupofu. Saka inside you tell yourself that this is the end. 2023 handifanirwa kutorwa advantage yekutakurwa nebhazi ndisingade kuenda kurari. Saka make it your objective that 2023 I must put my X on 𝗭𝗂 to end this cohesion, to end this exploitation, to end this oppression. Chembere dzagumaura dzakazvara vana vakainda kuhondo dziri kusimudziswa zvibhagera dzimiromo yakachena kuti unoona chembere chiri dzangonono yakagara yakarara parari kunetsa mambuya. Vanhu vakufanirwa kuva vachizorora vakatambudzwa nehondo yechimurenga, voramba vachingotakurwa chete vachiiswa kumarari nezvibhazi nezvivana zvidiki. Ukaenda parari reZANU-PF, this is exactly what they used to do hondo ichipera. Kuti varwi vehondo vaenda pamberi pevanhu vanounganidzwa vachiimba hondo ye hondo kumanika vachitamba vachirova mijibha. Kune dance enzi mujibha vashoma vanoiziva panapo. Dance imwe enzi mujibha so yoti ukatamba ukatendera urovera gumbo pasudu bo yainzi mujibha dance iyoyo. Revolution salutations 2023. Thank you so much. Nkoma Cordius. Pane ka dance kaitambwa kudhara kaiti ukatendera so kazeya so urovera gumbo pasudi vanhu vobva vati mujibha. Ndoka dance kairwa nemagandanga vachibva muhondo. Chembere dzakaunganidzwa dzichirweswa maslogan. That same dance iyoyo chembere zvidhara zvehazvichaisimudzi. Madance aitwa 1980 marallies chembere dzakaunganidzwa. Now zvidhara zvezvi zvachena musoro gumbo harichasimuki. Ndakataura ndikatora ichamisa muisa. Mutore rula mumezhe 30 cm muisa tambo. Mutora Mnangagwa muisa apa. Moti imimi muri tu mudada ma-presidential candidates. Jamba itambo iyi. Isai 30 cm chete. Ajamba tambo ita president. Muone kuti rojamba netuma kumbo nosimwa jamba netuma kumbo kudai. Mnangagwa mundu anozvigona here. Ndo zvinokuratidzai kuti ndo age dzacho zvezvidhara zvezve zvaitamba hondo kumanika zvichirova mujibha bum anoona izvinoi zvazvichaitiki mujibha icharoveke akarovera gumbo pasi soandochema yowe andinoona zvikumbo izvi zvaparara zvapera zvata zvitsinga tara ndati inini torai rula momezha 30 cm kubva paground mosunga tambo kumwisa tambo moti chamisa apa Mnangagwa apa batanzai makumbo jamba itambo ajamba tambo imomuita president. Mnangagwa won't jump 30 cm tambo hazviti. That one I bet. Saka zvakuratidza kuti vaparara vanhu vaya. Ino zvakutora ma-youth brigade, National Youth Service vakunonganza chembere dzapera dziri kukotsera pamarari. Unoona mambuya miromo yakachena kunge mabaka yawo vari kurara panonzi mbuya mzofu hazvichaiti. They've never enjoyed life. Imimi hama vana muri kuona mbuya vachi pamberi pavo paiswa ma-youth brigade National Youth Service vajamba vachitambo zvavaita nguva dzehondo hondo ichangopera vachikambena ndo zvavaroda kuzama kuita hazvichaiti. Ano vanhu vavaitira vachembera vapera. Dzichimboudza ikasikwere pano tizwe tsoro dzake. Ndichamutrai kumufonera nomboti imbouya umbotaurira vanhu timbonzwa kuti tsoro dzako ndedzipi. Timbomuisa pa-hot seat pano. Vakomana. Auya mamwe 50 masters ndatenda. So what I'm saying now is If you see kuti zvavaita ipapo nguva vachiri kukambena zvaiincreaseawo majority yeZANU, but since then the tables have turned upside down. No one now loves ZANU-PF. Akusina mnanda ZANU-PF. This is where you see now the parties blossoming on violence. Avasina electoral system very clear. You would want to win an election. Avasina campaign system very clear. You would want to win an election. Chavo chava kugona. It's just violence. Kuroa vanu, kuroa mambuya. And it's true to say violence atidi. You they think they've got monopoly of violence. And it mrugona. Sakata kutaura tichiti ukaona ma-organizations akata sana ZEC ari kuapoindwa on political connections or on partisan lines kuti varane election. Let's warn them kuti muri kudherera vanhu vakangoti ngwabu vese kuti hatichadi mangwana majeri munopinda majeri. Ndakambovaudza vakomana avo vezana kuti majeri amuri kusiya akadai so haana kunaka. Gadzirai majeri, bvisai zviblanketi zvinoenda izvi, disinfect maprison, isai magumbezi nehembe dzakanaka, because prepare for your future incarceration. But so that I'm just warning them kuti gadzirai majeri, bvisai inda majeri, itai mama washing machine ashande vanhu ainirwa hembe vachipfeka, majeri achidisinfectwa achisukwa achigezwa vanhu vachirara pakanaka, isai kana mibhedha, because mukasadaro mukasaprepare your future incarceration muchazogara mawesi prison. It's just a point of advice to them. And there is temptation of you believing that you will never be incarcerated. Enezburu wedu kasukwera ruchka kuenda. Ane 2 warrant of arrest hanging. Achingopinda chete anombonzi is a fugitive. Anovanzi remanded in custody. It's clear here. Those 2 warrants of arrest, ukasvika ukatusungwa ukaendeswa kuHighlands, obhovharwa kuHighlands, vokugadzirira havagadzirire docket, vanongotora mawarrants aya oenda nawo court, obva wataura kuti we have managed to apprehend a fugitive. Zvatopera. Magistrate anongosvika aiti remanded in custody to 5 July. Vanodzoka musi wa5 July obva wanzi to 2 August. Vanodzoka musi wa2 August obva wanzi to 3 September. Election yeSenate kwaurimo. Because kuti vakati ko bail vandaura kuti ane risk of ane risk of inonzi chiko vane term yavanoshandisa mani yekuti kana uri pawarrant of arrest wakambobuda kunze kwenyika unenge une maconnections yekuti unogona kutiza kudzokera kunze kwenyika, saka ane flight risk. Ndo word roshandiswa mukoti. Anongobvunzwa kuti prosecutor, what's your position on bail? Judge anobvunza. Then prosecutor is a flight risk because he previously fled. I want to abscond. A flight risk. One flight risk. No way to know my prosecutors in court. It is a flight risk. I don't see flight risk. He will be put in custody until my warrants wire azotongwa. Saka anogona kumuti pa first warrant 6 months in prison, 2 months suspended, wopika 4 months. Second warrant same, also to run concurrently. Mukota anobva to run concurrently. Mainunu. Saka out of 8 months anenge achifana kupika anongonopika 4 months because they run concurrently. Saka day 1 raanopedza ari mujeri anenge achisevha 2 counts. Ndikutoudza 𝗭𝗵𝗂 𝗂 mutongo wake. He is not a good candidate for bail exactly. Iyoyo mkoma chichi munenge makambopinda ku side. Iyoyo ma he is not. Anongobvunzwa nzi prosecutor, what's your position on bail? No mvunzo wa judge or magistrate. Prosecutor is a flight risky. Is not a good candidate for bail. Over atongonzi, all right, you are remanded to such a date. Saka mutongo wake 𝗭𝗵𝗂 𝗂 ndikudza ipana. First warrant of arrest rake kana court approve wakatiza. They are talking about 35 uncontested constituencies. The zip dzacho. I don't think out of 210 35 uncontested. Ndofunga mani ngirikinaya ma council elections kwete ma seats. Because ma seats ese takazadza vanhu. Ameno kana waita 𝗭𝗂 and azingopinda chete zimu zvamubata zvomubata hanzi makanzuru kumashu central zvamubata. Saka you find nyaya dzatiri kutaura panapa kuti anongonzi first warrant 6 months in prison, 2 months suspended on condition of ones to serve 4 months. Second warrant robva ranzi 6 months, 2 months suspended on condition, but both counts to run concurrently. That means 4 months, you save 4 months mujeri. Sezvavari kuita our judge champion, the vibrant, sezvavari kuita kuna job izvozviya. They just want to keep him in prison until elections are over. Saka, there is a great temptation here, ladies and gentlemen, from Zimbabweans who think as 𝗭𝗂 𝗂 kuti 𝗭𝗂 akatorwa akaitwa incarcerated, there might be a bullet that might be fired in that country. Apana Anzablanswanda that come in deciding on bail, denied for previous absconding or future to surrender himself. Pakaipa. Bero pakaipa. Eustace, sorry guys, nimoenda off topic for a few minutes. Abvunza Eustace kuti ko bhuru wake Mavhaza ari kupi? Where's Mavhaza? Hanzi akaenda kumusha dzidada MP weZANU. Ndaseka nazi. Mavhaza akaenda kuZimbabwe. Adada MP. Nofunga vamuratidza kuti aiwa unotipfeye mahara ombofokaita MP muZANU. Ameno kuti vari kuziva kuti mudhara Mavhaza ari kupi, ndibatise ndichamutsvaga, ndichamutsvaga kuti ko mudhara nazwa kuti hanzi makaenda mudada MP weZANU. Kune vene ZANU PF haisiri ZANU PF yaMugabe ka. Original ZANU PF yanga iri yaMugabe. Irida kurepresenta naKasukuwero. Iye vene haisi ZANU, iyi ndiye munhu vene. Ukazwa izi yevene. Saka hanzi Mavhaza akaenda kuZANU yevene aidada MP dzakadzipfutseki dzokera kuEngland. Ari kuona kana Niki Mangwana jani funga takatombopapinda. Because iyi ndeyevene kai, yevene. As I shot him on that up group about a week ago, also on Zoom, I told him to take a 𝗭𝗂. Wakagona. Because akaenda kuZANU yevene ada kuti iyi haisi ZANU PF. Iyi ndiyevene. Iyi inonzi ZANU vene kwete PF. Is a straight from 𝗭𝗂 Zambia. Taura yenyu mkoma wako. Mapiripiti memwe. Iyi ZANU PF vene. Haisi ZANU PF. Iyi haisi ZANU PF. Iyi inonzi ZANU vene. Kana kuti moiti ZANU PF vene. This is not the original ZANU PF. Iyi inonzi ZANU vene. ZANU PF vene. Kwete ZANU PF. Iyi ZANU PF vene. It's not the original ZANU PF. Saka, what we want, guys, ZANU PF chayo. Right, we are protecting a hard-won independence. iye vene haisi hard won independence. Havana hard won independence yavakaita. Vakamirira Mugabe kuti aite kamudhara. Mudhara useless akutadza kana kutaura kwamupfutse kwamumanyisa. Vachibva vaisa iye vene. Saka this is not ZANU-PF original. Iyi inonzi ZANU-PF vene. Andimona. Because if you look at ZANU-PF, atete QD, how are you? If you look at the ZANU-PF, tikadzokera kumashure, ndachiti nhasi tichitaura tichibata nhoroondo tichibatanidza tichikombeya nezviri kuitika nhasi. Between 1988 and 1990, ndaswera atete QD zviri kusei mwana wamai. Between 1988 ndati mubate kanhoroondo katoda kutaura panapa kari very important kuti muunderstand ZANU-PF kusiyana kwayo nezanu vene. Between 1988 and 1990 muZimbabwe maive nemurume aive nemawar credentials ekuti unoshamisika nhasi vari kuvena vachiti havasalute munhu asina mawar credentials. In Zimbabwe there was 𝗭𝗭 who had war credentials, who was more senior or much senior than Vanavene. That guy had a solid revolutionary and nationalistic credentials. Joined forces with the resurgent labor and student movements to challenge the political monopoly of the ruling party. Mkoma idamadi Libat zirufamba. 𝗭𝗭, I think ndo anogona kutaura kuti muZimbabwe is the father of opposition. Because uyu mudhara had the war credentials. He came and joined hands with the student movement, the labor movement, to challenge the political monopoly of the ruling party. Remember, Tekera is a one-party state is. Dai Mugabe akazvitaura kuhondo tisina kumuita president. 𝗭𝗭 akataura kati patakaenda isusu kunorwa hondo takati sina zve one-party state izvi. I don't know where Mugabe got this. He was so angry and he formed this political party. Akabatana nema student movement, akabatana nema labor party, as he challenged this monopoly one-party state. So together, these people, they spoke and mobilized against corruption. 𝗭𝗭 was the first war veteran with war credentials to challenge corruption in Zimbabwe. A very good example, Makore Anna Willowville scandal. 𝗭𝗭 challenged that. He challenged that against the one-party state de facto, one-party state mantra, and against the impending economic structural adjustment policy. Program iya yakaiswa naChidzero. 𝗭𝗭 akataura kuti izvi hazviite zvinouraya nyika. Adaro 𝗭𝗭 ndo paakazofoma Zimbabwe yainzi Zuma yaya. Because he was against IMF the World Bank recommendation for Zimbabwe could this ISAP. 𝗭𝗭 akazviramba izvo. He didn't want these things to be implemented. But akanga ane ziso. Aive nemutsipa murefu. Waiona kuma 2000. Waiona kuma 2008. Waiona kuma 2023. 𝗭𝗭 today died. But if you look at what he said when ZANU-PF was busy implementing economic structural adjustment program, this is exactly the effects of it that we are feeling today. 𝗭𝗭 was the only person with war credentials to challenge this. Margaret Dongo akazombouya akada kudai but vana Magika vanga vari musystem. Vari pamapension. Even today mbuya Magi vari musystem. Vari pamapension. Vakada mota vanongoudza vene ndoda mota. Tengegwa. But Tekere zvakazviramba akazvijamuka izvo. Andimona. Akataura akati ndaona nyika yaparara iyi. Nyika iyi ndaona yaparara iyi. Nezvinhu zvamurikuda kuitira izvo vana Mugabe. Akazvichallenja. In 1989, this was 1988. 1988, ndakandiri grade chikweni. Ndandiri form 1. Ndandiri form 1 1988. Painetsa Zoom, pakanetsa Edgar Tekere. In 1989, Tekere, who had consummated his sacking from ZANU, akabva adzingwa kuZANU nenyaya yekuti wachallenja Mugabe. He was sacked from ZANU-PF. So he formed his own party. Mdara Institute boy. He formed his own party, indicated his intention to challenge Mugabe in the 1990 elections. So in 1989, Zuma was formed. In 1990 elections, he entered the race. University students by then, who had transformed from being admirers of the ruling party to become not only an irritation to the party state, but also a serious opposition force openly mobilized for Tekere and Zuma. My students, vazhinji vacho ndo vafana vaiva mainzwa ndo makore ainzi vana Mutambara, ndo makore ana Mutambara. Vazhinji vari kumamira mafiriji vari kuita sei vachiita mademonstrations aityisa vakomana. I think ndo masame makore ana Tenda here, but Bitanga anga kuuniversity apa, I'm not sure. Mukoma chichi good night endai morara ndaadhuze kuda kurupedza. Saka you find kuti makore acho iwayayo vakomana vakabva vakamobilize support for Edgar Tekere, considering that it was formed just a year before elections, like 𝗭𝗂. 𝗭𝗂 was just formed a year before elections. Zoom was also formed a year before elections. And that it was up against a formidable system. By that time, Mugabe used to enjoy monopoly, of political monopoly. Zoom's performance was significant as it managed to partake in both the presidential race as well as 107 out of 120 constituencies. It's not easy. 𝗭𝗂 was formed a year before elections and managed to field 210 candidates. Zoom managed to field 107 candidates out of 120 contested parliamentary constituencies. So it went on to win 20% of the presidential vote and 2 parliamentary seats. No patasiana. Now the morning with ZANU-PF, by then it was formidable. But apa ya rowa. Anze mukanya, tomorrow call me if you get time. Okay, Mkumo. Munongo send a phone number inbox ndokubata. Ndokunisakangano especially kana pa WhatsApp. Anzi Tekere was a disturbed war hero. He was in this system himself, Powers and the Rex Nongos and Ango Tungamira Tekere was just one of ZANU-PF's mind games. He was not a mind game during this time, General, because he didn't want one-party state. He was clear on this. Tekere was very clear. He died out of ZANU-PF. ZANU yakazomita hero, akaramba kudzoka kuZANU. He refused to come to ZANU. He died out of ZANU-PF. ZANU yakazomita hero, because anga aperawo nekurwara nekukura achibva afa Tekere. But ndiye munhu akafa achiramba kudzoka kuZANU. Akati zvizumu zvayaparara inini ndakusiya zvepolitics. Ndobva agara zvake. Anditoriona. So he didn't want one party state. Iri kudaidzirwa naMnangagwa. It's a ndosaka machitaura kuti panofanira generational consensus. Yeah, he didn't like tribalism as well. He didn't like it. Because during that time, I remember during the war, there was war between the Zezurus, the Manyika, and the Karanga people. I don't know why in the Ndebele think Shona people hate them. Because I remember in Tishikura, vanhu amanyika ava vanga vasingatomboonani zvachose nemazezuru. Ndosaka uri kuona kana pakabviswa Mugabe, manyika opamuchinguri akataura kuti masanctions they were caused by Mugabe, they piled everything on the Zezuru people. Makaranga emasvingwa vanga vasikade kuona chinonzi manyika. Nanhasi havaonani, vamanyika nevakaranga hazvionani. Ndosaka uri kuona muhurumende yemukaranga muzambia karanga hamuna manyika wakawanda. I think opamuchinguri chete ndiye arimo, the whole of Manicaland. He doesn't like the Manica people. Amanyika havadiwi. Saka ndo kwaibvawo mudhara wedu weZumu. Tekere anga ari mumanyika, anga asingaonani nemazezuru. But Tekere anga asingade manje kuti mutaure chiZezuru, mutaure chikaranga, mutaure ndebele. Aita we are one people. We went to war, we fought as one people, one person. Saka izvi marudzi zvabvepi? China masa hasi mugovernment. Koma Humphrey. Aiwa hasi mugovernment. Mudhara kwarusape kunovhura bhini. Haana ministerial position haanawo. Ari kuzanu chete. Akadzingwa munanga kwahamudi hachidi chidhara chacho. Hachidi. Amene kana chakazoapointwa somewhere. Hachidiwi chiya. 500 datenda 500 stars zakandwa. Saka you see nyaya yatiri kutaura iyoyi yekuti considering that it was just formed a year, Zoom managed to field 107 candidates out of 120 constituencies, and they won 2 seats, parliamentary seats. Imomo. Zoom failed to consolidate its position and did not survive to the next election because it soon split into 2. Ndo paakupinda wana Munzura. ZANU yatoona kuti panapa Zoom yamira, they to put Monzora foot ku Zoom. Auta ndakanyora constitution yeZoom. He caused a split in Zoom. Douglas Monzora, he caused a split in Zoom. Sababu wabuda kwakasara kune Zoom nemwe party yanzi Democratic Party. Democratic Party yakabuda muZoom because vanga kutaura Tekere was an autocrat. Zvakafanana nezvekuti Sam Monzora ndiye kuya neidea yekuti Tekere is autocratic and it caused the split of Zoom. Vakabuda imwe yanzi DP, that's Democratic Part of Zimbabwe. Because they were claiming that Mudhara uyu had personalized the party. Ndo nyaya vakakonana. Same idea iyoyi ndo Monzora yakashandisa to split MDC. Achidzinga vaChamisa akataura kuti Chamisa is autocratic and Chamisa has personalized the party. Ndo same idea yakashandiswa naTendai Biti pakafomwa PDP. Achitaura kuti Mudhara Morgan Tsvangirai has personalized the party. Inini Tendai ndogona kumupina kuti iwewe TB pakadzingwa Tsvangirai, Mudhara Tsvangirai paakadzingwa, hatina kuenda tese here kumba kwaMudhara Tsvangirai. Tikasvika ukaita pledge kuti you are going to support Mudhara at all costs. Ndosaka muri kuona kana Tendai paakafoma political party yakanzi PDP, I've never even spoken about PDP. I've never even spoken about Biti. Because I knew deep inside kuti Biti munhu waTsvangirai. I knew it. And the tribalism and regionalism is the actual problem in Zimbabwe. Instead of a national agenda, most ZANU-PF stewards are merely regional minded. And this is the same applies to Wanatoko ZANU-PF. She became regional minded. A national executive reduced herself to a provincial executive, confined herself to Matebeleland. This is what ZANU-PF, it's ZANU-PF politics, Mkomavine. It's ZANU-PF politics. They benefit from that. Saka muri kuona Zoom yakabva yaparara yakakaita 2 mafunctions. Zoom ichibva yaparara. Haina kuzostenda the next election. Zoom yakanga yarowa pasi. Ndana Douglas Monzora. Saka Now zvinhu zvachinja. 2023 madhara atachitaura nezvawaya vane politics dzakudhara dzekuma 1980. Unganidzai vanhu ane mukuona zvikuita Mnangagwa zvazve. Unganidzai vanhu otora tuyuth tuchita toitoi pamberi pechembere dzakadhiniwa kare. Chembere dzakadhiniwa kudhara. Zvakafanana nekuenda kubhawa. Vanhu vakakurira kuma location vanozviziva zvandiri kutaura. Kuti location rumwe nerumwe kana bhawa rimwe nerimwe rekulocation kunotove nepambi inenge ichizikanwa yachembera ipapo kunzi vakambonetsa sisawa. Iwewe zera rangu unoenda unoroora. Hazvibudi. Ndo zvamurona ZANU-PF iri kuenda back kuvanhu vakatambudzwa naIan Smith nguva dzehondo. Vanhu vakatambudzwa nemagandanga nguva dzehondo. Yotuta mabhazi, yonotuta maruzevha kunounganidza vanhu. Wotora tufana tuyouth militia tosvika toiti rovai toitoi. Pfumburai dasti. Ipolitics dzakudhara hadzichashandi dziadzi. Politics has changed. The dynamics of politics have changed. This is why you see, without even campaigning, 𝗵𝗄𝐶 last year yakawina ma-constituencies. ZANU ikamashaya. MDC ikarova mazero. But 𝗵𝗄𝐶 was not allowed to campaign. Because the dynamics of politics have changed. ZANU-PF haina ma-new strategies. Strategy yavo is just violence and coercion for fear of losing power. Ndosaka muri kuona Chamisa now has come with a different way of doing politics. Chamisa is campaigning. He has campaigned since he was in MDC, but 𝗵𝗄𝐶 hasn't been allowed to campaign. But when he was in MDC, he campaigned peacefully. Chamisa wanted nation building. Chamisa wanted the respect of human rights. Chamisa always spoke about the rule of law, respecting the rule of law, restoration of the role of our chiefs. Now we have got Chief Ndweni, who is no longer residing in his people, because they snatched the chieftainship from the rightful owner. We've got Chief Ndweni in the UK now. What is supposed to go nevanhu vavo umambo ndehweropa. You cannot take chieftainship from Ndweni. Azviite. Tinavo kunoku chief. Ndimambo kuti kana tikavaona tinogwadama. Kana vakadzokera kumusha Chief Ndweni vakaona pane nzvimbo vanogona kudaidza shepherd uya mwanangu ndakuallocata nzvimbo gara. Dr. Thomas Tafrenyika Mapfumo vakaallocatwa nzvimbo kuSouth Africa. He cannot go to Zimbabwe. Saka President Chamisa has always campaigned for restoration of the role of a chief in our country. President Chamisa has always said Zimbabwe must march towards self-reliance. Kwete kuti kana takuda mabhazi, Idi Mnangagwa anochata a private jet kuenda kuBelarus kunouya nemabhazi akavakwa. Mabhazi tine ma-engineering departments. Ukaenda paHarare Institute of Technology paya panofanira kugadzirwa bhazi paya kuti munotora aya ma-students odesigner seat, aya ma-students odesigner floor yebhazi, aya odesigner chassis, moita chassis building. Panofanira kugadzirwa bhazi para vamwe odrowa bhazi kuti iri ndo type yebhazi reHarare Zimbabwe ratiri kuda kugadzira rakanzi made in Zimbabwe, risina kunzi Volvo, risina kunzi Scania, but riri bhazi redu. Thanks Atete Cleo, thanks so much. Anditi mona, that is not happening in our country. President Chamisa has campaigned for that ari kuMDC kuti tiri kuda kuve self-reliant. Mushonga ma-chemicals ekugadzira mvura anobva kuSouth Africa. Enzvona umwa sewage hakuna ma-chemicals kuZimbabwe, but have sables. So we need to be self-reliant. For us to become self-reliant, we must respect the human rights and we must respect the rule of law in our country. And that will march towards our nation building. We want a peaceful nation, and we need to build our nation. This has been said by President Nelson Chamisa, and I am reiterating what our president said. But in contrast, we've got a political party that has been there for 43 years. That does not respect the rule of law. That doesn't know that human rights exist. We witnessed that on the 1st of August 2018, where people were shot and killed. Thank you, 𝗭𝗂. Thank you so much. People were shot and killed. That is, Zimbabwe has got no rule of law. Zimbabwe has got no human rights. They don't respect human rights. We cannot build a nation where soldiers carry weapons on the streets and shoot innocent civilians. That is not a peaceful nation building. So that is in contrast, that we refer to Mnangagwa as a person who do not want Zimbabwe to be peacefully built. So this is why you see even during Motlane Commission, President Nelson Chamisa said, I am not looking at the next election. No. I am looking at what Zimbabweans need today. I'm a leader. And more. So, if you look at everything that President Chamisa has done and they've spoken so far, you can tell that his policies are based much on the economic liberalization. What he's doing, when we manage to do everything that our president is saying, we are luring, or we are attracting both foreign and indigenous investors. We need that investment in our country. We need a very big plan chemicals to purify our water. We need to prevent sewage from flowing into the drinking water and stop diseases like cholera. So what we need is we need both local or indigenous and foreign investment in our country. We want to ensure that Zimbabweans create businesses and employment. Unoda kushandira mwe munhu iwewe maprazi aripo neprazi. You can have a farm. To be honest with you, those farm workers who own the farm, those white farmers who own the farms, they used to go and work elsewhere. Kufarm kwao kwaitosara vashandi vavo na manager achirana farm. Iye achishanda kwa Edgars. Iye achishanda ku AgriSelex. Akushari kuti kana waprazi wa uchashandi. Let Prazi Rago be an entity on its own and manage itself. It's a manager. House manager, house management. House farmer, you're the owner of land. She employer on Ugrimira, which have profit Prazi, she's bad at Ravashandvar. Those are it our Rungudar. Or why shanda somewhere else? Agenda farm. I don't move out to drive a motor and bus. Pano Zoko so beautiful to perform by to a China manager. And more. Saka, what I'm saying here is for that to materialize in our country, we must tell ZANU-PF or teach ZANU-PF that violence is not a choice, it's not a weapon of choice when we are conducting an election. No. If you see residing on violence, that means, thank you, 𝗭𝗂. That means you fear to lose power and you fear to lose elections. Any government formed after a violent electoral process, that government is not a legitimate government. This is why you see we have been reeling under sanctions, because we've got an illegitimate government. Even if we tell them that sanctions must go, this illegitimate government does not want those sanctions to go because they are benefiting. This is why I've been campaigning all along that these sanctions must be removed. Britain and America, please, I appeal to you that if possible today, remove those sanctions. We don't need sanctions in our country. We don't need sanctions. We don't need sanctions. I am telling the British, I am telling the Americans that if Zimbabwe is under sanctions, please remove those sanctions. They are serving no purpose. Serving no purpose at all. You understand? Because we have got an illegitimate government that we need to remove. They are using sanctions as an excuse. So if possible, those sanctions must go today. And we want to see where their excuse emanated from. So I'm appealing to Electoral, to the people of Zimbabwe, that when we are voting, let's go in our millions. Let's go and vote for 𝗭𝗂. Let's go and vote for President Nelson Chamisa. Forget about this 𝗵𝗵𝗿 Shona thing. I was talking to Twala today, and 𝗵𝗵𝗿 guy who visited me. I was telling him the problem in Zimbabwe is atina kubatana. We are divided on ethnic lines, ethnic relationship. These relationships has led to our country to deteriorate. We are a failed generation that has witnessed the country, that has led the country into rot because of these ethnic relationships. Unonzwa vamwe vachitaura ndiri ntevele, unonzwa vamwe vachitaura ndiri shona. Zvinokupasadza izvozvo, zvinovaka nyika izvozvo. Asi ndamboona pakavakwa building yakanzi ntevele, iyi yakanzi shona. I've never seen that. I've never seen that. This is why you see Mnangagwa, Emerson Mnangagwa, and these vana Rudlands vana Macmillan, vana Rudland vana Macmillan now. Mnangagwa vakatotaura vakati black people are dunderheads. Both vakatarisa kuti, and you cannot trust a black man. Both vakatoona ati trust nenyaya yekuti ndikaona mndevele yahama yangu, ndikaona mshona ya enemy yangu. Mnangagwa deals with those white people. And those white people during early years of independence, most of them were operating as double agents. And today we still have double agents, especially when I see Varume vari kudhila na Mnangagwa, vana Rudland, vana Simon Rudland, vana Macmillan. These were Rhodesian agents. And these were the people who they planted arms cage kuma farms ezapu. Va planted over they tipped Mugabe. Kuti ngomane zombo. And after they tipped Mugabe, there was a witch hunt. This is why you see Mnangagwa trust these Rhodesians, trust these CIO, former CIOs who worked as double agents of the state. They are the same people who planted those weapons in Zapu farms. After they planted those weapons, they tipped Mugabe. A witch hunt then followed. And Ngomo was accused of plotting a coup d'etat and was dismissed from government alongside other ZAP ministers. Nema Zipra. Saka ma-PF ZAP ministers vaipa vakadismisswa. Zipra High Command yai consists of Dumiso Davengwa, Mana Lookout Masuku, and others. They were arrested because of that. Mana Simon Rudland, you are black people are dunderheads. They were in the CIOs, they were in the army. No one wakaita basa iroro. Vakabva vataura ndo vakakonzeresa na Dumiso Davengwa vavhariru. This is why you see Emerson Mnangagwa trust these guys. So Vana Dumiso, they were locked up. Vana Lookout Masuku and other high commanders was up. They were arrested and detained. And these guys were detained without trial. Exactly a similar way they are doing to 𝗭𝗂, detaining him without trial. No MO or modus operandi Mnangagwa. He will make sure that you rot in prison without a crime, without a trial. As I'm speaking, 𝗭𝗂 is in prison, detained without trial. In a similar way, Dumiso Davengwa was detained. In a similar way, Lookout Masuku was detained. This was in retaliation to ex-Zipra fighters defecting from the Zimbabwe National Army. And these guys, they defected in large number. They were accused now of initiating banditry in Matabeleland. And they said the banditry was increasing and moving to the parts of Midlands. And that is so a lot of civilians massacred, properties destroyed in Matabeleland. Mugabe is expectedly remarked with obvious anger and unstatesmanship. He said ZAP and its leader, Dr. Joshua Mkabukongomo, are like cobra in the house. The only way to deal effectively with a snake is to crush its head. This is where a lot of Ndebeles were killed. That was the beginning of what we call a Gukurahundi in our country. Everything was planned by none other than Mdaro Aripo. So he's munhu wekuti haasvike kana kuuraya, anoponda madiro. So he went around. Yeah, that was the Richard Gwesela era. He went around Matabeleland. He intimidated the Ndebeles. And the Ndebeles think Mashona. Wait, Mashona, let's not use it. Ngatiti Mukaranga uyo kumasvingwa inzi Mnangagwa went around Matabeleland intimidating people with guns, intimidating people. Nemapurisa, makonstabra, akanoisa, yainzi 5th Brigade. Kukapinda ma youth brigade area ikoko. Vakatanga kumasaka vanhu. And they made sure that even elections were rigged. Saka ndikutaura nyaya dzakadaro idzi. Tikadziburisa like this, if we revisit the results of those elections during that time, ZANU-PF could not win a free and fair elections. If they can't use youth militias to massacre electorate, they can't win a free and fair elections. I'm so cross about why these people we call police officers who are voting for Emerson Mnangagwa pamberi pemadzichifu awo. Iwe dzingwa basa ndonyaya ndatanga kutaura. Inini I fled, not dzingwa. I fled, I deserted. But ndakaona kuti izvo hazisi zvangu izvo. I can't do this. Ndakaramba. Anditi maona. Zvokuintimidate once votera ZANU nekuti uda kupfeka chiuniform chinoda kufamba muroad uchibribe uchitora mabribes. You are being an enemy of the people. This so-called police, this so-called army, prison officers, you are creating enmity against people. And now we have got evidence that after Mavota, you are being given pistols going around in various strategic places and telling people that mukavotera 𝗭𝗭 tokuurayai. We've got evidence, we know it. You're telling one who ZANU-PF loses, if you don't vote ZANU-PF, there will be war. So I said to the people of Zimbabwe last time, let's experiment it. If these people are truly saying that there will be war if ZANU-PF loses, let's make ZANU-PF lose, and we want to see that war. Hakuna kana hondo inomboitika munyika, musanyeperwe vanhu imimi. Vanoirwa hondo yacho achibva kupi. So I'm saying let's go and contest this 2023 elections. We want to see kuti kana vachinge vadyiwa hondo yacho vachaitanga papi nani. Anza tete QD haasi Mukaranga Mnangagwa. He's a Zambian or foreign. That's why he doesn't care about Zimbabwe. He kills with no care. It's so sad. Very sad indeed. So I am saying, let's make ZANU-PF lose. We want to see the war. Hakuna hondo. Musambofe makachichidzirwa. Don't be intimidated. Kurikuya mapistols. Vachita hanzi fuzz. If ZANU-PF lose, hondo inomuka. What they don't want is a free and fair election. Why are you threatening people that there will be war? Because the purpose of election is to create a winner and a loser. So, despite all these threats, ladies and gentlemen, let's go for it. 2023. Let's go for it. Big geared now. Diterere, big geared. Kana ndikadzikwa basa, musi wa 24 ndodzoka basa. Anditi mona. Instead of deploying violent youth to beat up women, to beat up old people, ZANU-PF people must be delivering their election promises as a part, showing us what they've done so that people can vote them back. All the 2018 election manifesto promises were never fulfilled, despite ZANU-PF using state resources, using state institutions, using state army, our soldiers, using our police, intelligence services, and public radio, television, but you never manage to do. Taifana kona ba radio ka. Wana load shedding na nasi varipo. Madamu ana kuvako. Nzira dzina kuvako. I'm going to resurface 200 kilometers in 6 years. And he's coming to you and said, could you development yakaitira nyika. Saka takurwadziwa. If you look 1980s nema 1990s, tikada kutarisa kuti zeki yedu ina judge watinoti ndiwe kujudiciary. Majaji aivepo kudhara kujudiciary kwedu vairamba ma-executive orders, kupuwa order na president wenyika. Aiya, munoziva majudgments aipiwa imimi nejudiciary yatati nayo. Because ZANU-PF government had failed ipapo in several critical trials. And on several occasions, the executive frustration with the judiciary expressed itself in public attacks on the judges. Mugabe akatanga kuenda achituka majaji achitase. Because kwaitwa mitemo. Mugabe himself, he admitted, muna 1988, pa ZANU-PF Congress pa, akadi, his party's supremacy over the government has totally failed. It was never achieved. Could a party is supreme than a government? Zvakaramba kuita. Majaji, they refuse to be moved. Tatisina ma-captured courts atanawo nhasi. Even within his party, Mugabe, maitenge mune dissent. People were complaining. There were disagreements imomo. Musakaona vana Edgar Tegera vakazobuda vakanofoma mapata avo. Andiro. Because ukada kuona kuti waiti kana vakaenda kuma-party proceedings, Edgar Tegera anga asingati president kuna Mugabe vari tu. Aiti president kana vari mune vanhu. Aiti kana vabuda kuyanga shamwari yake aiti Robbie. Izva tiri kuti asiko zvatakaendera kuhondo izvo. And that much I know. Kwakaita members of parliament vaita sana Byron Hove, vana Sidney Malunga, vana Welshman Mabena, vana Lazarus Nzara Ebana. Those guys were leading in telling Mugabe the truth. These were decent voices in ZANU-PF. Azvichawaniki izvozvo. Their opinions were on a number of national issues. Vakomana vachitaura zvinhu zvavaifungidzira kuti izvi hazvisi kufamba zvakanaka munyika. Anymore. Saka now, if you look at that crop of judiciary, those guys who were in ZANU-PF, who were mobilizing Mugabe arikutadza, Mugabe was always kept on toes. No kumana wewe. Saka zvese zvakapera. We no longer have critics of ZANU-PF. If you criticize ZANU-PF, there is a patriotic bill raono kuberekesa. Whether you are in ZANU or whether you are away. I'm not criticizing. I am saying history. I'm talking about things that happened in the past. Andimon. Ndosaka muri kuona Tekere akazoti hama dzandaiti hama dzandakafamba nadzo musango idzi dzakaoma musoro. Regai ndisiyane nawo. He went on to form his political party that contested 1990 presidential elections and parliamentary elections. That helped to block, my legislated one-party state agenda. Yakamiswa na Tekere. One-party state agenda. Ya iri kutry kuimplementwa naMnangagwa yakamiswa na Tekere. Tekere akazvimisa izvi. Saka if you look at Mugabe's idea of trying to establish one-party state, it suffered a stillbirth because kwakune vanhu vanga vari powerful during that time. Shamwari dzaakafamba nadzo muhondo dzainzi vana Edgar Tekere. Mnangagwa now is trying again, but he has failed again. Once more, he has failed. Ndosaka muri kuona izvinezvi vana Sylvester Sukwere vakumuchallenja futi. We are back to the Tekere era. Tekere was son of ZANU-PF. Tekere was expelled from ZANU-PF. He was a clear signal that one-party stalwarts were willing to accept the idea of one-party state. And Tekere told us that, look, Zoom will end this, and we are going to contest my election. That is Zoom is now kupinda paipa. ZANU-PF yaipinda and contested. They could have successfully launched a one-party state. And Sudin Malunga, they killed him by exactly. Pama can then fly over because of this. This is why Sidin Malunga was killed. But by then, wana Zuma wanga wa folder, wana UNC wanga wa siku. Saka tukutaura kuti guys, patasvika apa, toita sei nayo ZANU. Fe, ndapinda mzaya. Sekuru choko, masvika ndapedza. Mdara, mamuri kupiko, muri ingonyimbi. Masvika ndapedza sekuru. I'm very sorry. So ladies and gentlemen, for tonight, I think I've given you sufficient history about how our general elections were conducted. I've given you results of other elections where ZANU-PF, I've told you that ZANU-PF was a dominant political force for the first generation of our politics, for the first decade of our politics. Elections, Agarasa 1980, 1985, 1990, aiwinwa neZANU. Aiwinwa zvinemtsindo neZANU-PF. But since then, the dynamics of politics changed. ZANU-PF yaiwina zvinemtsindo yobva yafunga kuti kuwina kwaitwa kune mtsindo iri kudiwa nevanhu stereki. Ndopo vakabva vatanga one party state. And Tekere akabva azvistopa. So the father of opposition who stopped one party state was Ndabaningi Story. Ndikanzwa was Edgar Tekere. Ndikanzwa vana Mugwadi vachitaura about one party state, ndotoziva kuti vana havana chavari kutaura, havana chavanoziva. Thanks Atetekile. Thank you so much Atetekile. Ndoziva tiri kutaura nevana vasina chavanoziva. Handingadzidziswe politics naMugwadi. Pazvaitika izvi Mugwadi anga asati azvarwa. Mai vake nababa vake vanga vasati vasangana. Andimona. Pazvaita politics handiri kutaura idzi, Mugwadi is too young to understand this. And muZANU-PF mune vamwe vanhu vasinga understand this. So I've spoken about electoral system, what it is designed for. I've told you that first it will translate your votes into a seat, and we need that seat. I've said it seeks to conduct, or it seeks to hold our representatives or our members of parliament accountable. And finally, I've stated that it gives us the structure and the boundaries of acceptable political discourse. Saka ndiri kutaura ndichiti, we have discussed why ZANU-PF was so popular. I've even told you that ZANU-PF was using state resources as they are doing today. Unfortunately, long ago, we had just emerged from a war. They were using state resources, vachienda pane vanhu vanga vari intimidated, people who had just seen war. Saka vaimba hondo kumanika, vachirwa mjibha. but ezvinozvi varikuda kuzvitraya zvavaita 1980 hazvichabudi. Vanhu vavaimbira hondo kumanika vaamambuya vachembera misoro yese yachena, kukurudza parhari muchivasezwa nenzara miromo yakachena kuti mpunga vasina chekudya muchivati itai maslogan, vanenge vakatokotsira machembera aya. Let's end kushushwa kwevana veZimbabwe. Let's end oppression. Mukoma Yudha vauya. Oiye, oiye, jambanjana mukoma Yudha vauya. Oiye, oiye, jambanjana mukoma. Jambanjana Yudha. Mukoma Yudha. Ko yuvona ari kupi komusarurwa, amana. Mbonitsvagirai kachisisi changu chechibhururu changu. Nimbochibvunza kuti takakuti ichivona. Zvakuti dhagi asi dhagi kwese dhagi azvibudi. Ona mukoma Yudha vauya. Oiye, jambanjana mukoma na yu jambanjana Yudha. Oiye, jambanjana mukoma. Oiye, jambanjana Yudha. Good night. Murare zvakanaka. Murare zvakanaka wakomana. Kari kupuka pipa kaini. Murare zvakanaka wakomana. Nhasi ndanakirwa. Ona amaiwe. Nhasi ndanakirwa. Enda muzomboda. Nhasi ndanakidzwa. Last time ndipedze nditaure. Kuti uzodrive rori. Sekuri choko hamendo zviriko here kwenyu. Ndaenda kunonyora theory test imwe ndambonyora nhasi. Ndapasai. Yekudrive inonzi CPC. Zvakaoma. Every time kuti uzosvika pakunzi rori driver unenge wapasa zvinhu zvakawanda. Saka ladies and gentlemen, ndoda kutaura futi nyaya yekupedzisira yandamboitaura nhasi. Yandanga ndichiti nyaya yekuvaka guva ratondera indira, iyo nyaya handirege kuitaura. Kuti varume ngatibatsiranei. Ngatite kana mapound dollar nepaunapo tibatsirane tivake guva redu. Madhezi achari kufamba. Hanzi Kasukwera handisi kumutrust asi Kasukwera anogona kuya iri project yaita yemavambo. I've spoken about 2008 elections where our votes were given to Simba Makoni. From there you never heard from him. Zvake zvakatoita. Andimaona. Saka Kasukwera can come as that project as well. I will try to bring him live on Facebook. Timboona kuti ndikamuti Saviors chimbouya tombomuwana panapa for kana 20 minutes or so. Timbomunzwa kuti anoti chii. And tombomubvunza zvatoda kubvunza. Bosikamubvunza nyaya yetaedzamara anobva abaya exit. Oiye, jambanjana mukoma Yudha vauya. Oiye. Jambanjana mukoma. Jambanjana Yudha. Chambotraya timbomunza. Kuti tinzwe kuti achati kudii. Saka imimi good night wakomana. Kuno ku UK dza 12:10 midnight. Kwakuseni 10 kuseni. Saka regai ndimbonoti ndiri kumuka mai manje. Murara zvakanaka. I know 65 people ngowasiya so vachida kunzwa zvakaoma. Good night guys. Tosangana mangwana ndidi. Good night. Hanzi kana mune matopics amunenge muchida kuti my research titaure. Musatye. Hit my inbox to mataura naye. Good night.